Chapter 1368. 1368 1368's blood flowed like a river. Ah! When the black rain fell downwards, endless screams sounded in the battlefield. The black rain from the sky fell on the bodies of the troops of the three kingdoms. It carried a strong poison. A transcendent level 8 was actually heavily injured. My God! The blue rain from the sky fell on my body. I feel that my recovery ability has increased by a lot. The wound that appeared just now is rapidly recovering. It's at the rear. It's Lord Wang's subordinates. Look at the sky. When the rain that covered the entire battlefield descended, the soldiers of the Dragon Phoenix Empire were once again stunned. The dense rain and black rain accurately fell on the soldiers of the three dynasties, while the blue drops landed on their bodies instead. The black raindrops could even injure a Type 8 Transcendent. However, the blue raindrops could increase their strength and recovery. The supporting effects were heaven-defying. In fact, the instant the black raindrops landed, tens of thousands of people had died in the rain. If the earlier battle had been one-sided, it was now a one-sided massacre. Disperse the black clouds in the sky. We must disperse them. On the battlefield, a half-step void interpretation expert blocked the violent demon monkey in front of him. As he felt the black rain falling from the sky, he shouted with an extremely ugly expression. And behind them, the creature that is emitting special sound waves to assist us kill them. We must kill them. However, just as he finished speaking, another expert not far away shouted loudly, "It's over, it's over. How could it be? How could they be so terrifying?" However, there were even more terrified voices coming from the battlefield. Some of the soldiers of the three kingdoms had already cried out in fear. They were somewhat shocked by the sudden appearance of these creatures. Their violent attacks, terrifying defenses, and powerful strength made it difficult for them to resist. They were originally at a disadvantage, but now they were being disturbed by the sound waves and attacked by the black rain in the sky. They had to resist both the powerful enemies and the black rain in the sky. As for dispersing the black rain and killing the group of dolphins behind them, who was going? Right now, they were no different from lining up to die. As long as the Lord Profound Void can kill the other party, we can still obtain victory. We can still obtain victory. Some of the soldiers thought in fear, I'm not resigned. However, at this moment, a tragic sound reverberated throughout the entire sky. Hearing this sound, the hearts of all the soldiers of the Southern Cloud Dynasty trembled slightly. They turned their heads and widened their eyes filled with fear. What? How is this possible? How is this possible? They widened their eyes and looked at a huge millstone that covered the head of the Southern Cloud King thousands of meters in the sky. The millstone spun, and streams of gray energy washed over the Southern Cloud King. The armor on his body quickly crumbled under the gray energy. The great sword in his hand was directly sent flying. Their king struggled in fear. His face was filled with unwillingness and fear. Die! At this moment, they heard a disdainful voice. Some people turned their heads and looked at the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty city wall. There, a young man was floating in the air. His palm moved slightly and controlled the huge millstone from a distance of 5,000 to 6,000 meters. The millstone spun and crushed towards their king. With a desperate scream, the Southern Cloud King was crushed by the 5 elements millstone, and that figure only attacked from a few kilometers away. The gap was so huge, it was simply crushing. It's over. Our king actually fell. It's over, it's all over. When the Southern Cloud Dynasty soldiers saw this scene, their bodies trembled violently, and the fighting spirit in their hearts disappeared. Their king, the strongest expert of the Southern Cloud Dynasty, was actually controlled by someone to directly kill him at a distance of 5 to 6 kilometers. This disparity was simply too great. One of the profound void tier 4 experts had already fallen. How could they continue to fight? Aha! Right at this moment, another miserable cry sounded out. Some of the soldiers raised their heads once more to look, and they saw that in the sky, many profound void tier experts had fallen one after another under the attacks of the 9 flood dragons and the demon monkey lightning creature. Originally, those creatures were able to contend against the 40 profound void martial experts of their 3 empires. Now that all the profound void martial experts of the Dragon Phoenix Empire had made a move, it had completely become a crushing blow. Flee! Flee! The profound void martial experts of the 3 great empires watched as their comrades fell one after another, their faces filled with fear and uncertainty. They gritted their teeth, and one of the rank 3 profound void martial experts turned around and fled into the distance. Haha, a bunch of trash still trying to escape. The 2 Dragon Phoenix Dynasty experts roared out with derision. Roar! The 2 flood dragons saw the escaping experts and moved. As members of the Wind God Dragon bloodline, there were very few who could be faster than them. The 2 flood dragons chased after them, and in less than a minute, they killed the expert who had lost the battle. Escape he couldn't escape. Fight he couldn't win. The rain in the sky continued to fall. Some of them landed on the ground, mixed with blood. The entire ground was sticky and blood-red. 10 minutes later, the blood on the ground gradually gathered into a small river. There were 200,000 to 300,000 corpses on the ground. It was brutal, the intensity of the battle. Wang Xian floated above the city wall. He didn't continue to attack. Under his control, the 5 elements millstone floated beside the battlefield of Fenghuan, the king of Star Moon, Muzisin, and the king of the Fengshao dynasty. He wanted to prevent the other party from escaping. None of the enemies that came today would be able to escape. Haha, we are going to win. We are going to win. This is great. This is great. Lord Wang is mighty. He killed the king of Southern Cloud in just a few minutes. Furthermore, he has been standing on the spot and controlling the millstone from afar. He is simply invincible. This is great. Ha ha ha. The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is invincible. Lord Wang is invincible. Her Majesty the Queen is invincible. In the Dragon Phoenix Empire, the people of the Dragon Phoenix Empire who were watching the battle in the sky roared in excitement. They had won. They had won. Judging from the battle, they had won 100%. Their Dragon Phoenix Empire was the strongest. They were so excited that they couldn't describe it. How is this possible? The 3 dynasties have lost. They have lost completely. That Lord Wang, he actually has such terrifying strength and influence. Heavens, if I had known earlier. If I had known earlier, I would have stayed in the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. He actually defeated the 3 dynasties. Heavens. Doesn't that mean that the 3 dynasties will be conquered by the Dragon Phoenix dynasty in the future? I actually left the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Chapter 1369. 1369. The Danyuan dynasty that was scared shitless. Compared to the excited citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, they were standing on the side of the battlefield. The 40,000 to 50,000 people who had escaped from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty and those who were about to surrender were completely dumbfounded. They had never expected that the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, which only had 1 city, could actually destroy the 3 dynasties. These were the 3 great dynasties, and 2 of the kings had personally led their troops into battle. There were more than 40 insightful void martial artists in total, yet such power was still defeated. They could already imagine that not long from now, the Dragon Phoenix Empire would rise powerfully and even take over all the cities of the 3 great dynasties. At that time, the Dragon Phoenix Empire would become the most powerful dynasty in the nearby domain. As a citizen of a powerful dynasty, there were naturally many benefits. Not to mention, the benefits within the Dragon Phoenix dynasty were much better than in many places. If we knew that Lord Wang had such powerful strength, we wouldn't have come out. We regret it. Her Majesty the Queen obviously opened the city gates on purpose to let us leave. She knew. She knew. Regret appeared in their minds. 40 to 50,000 people stood there in a daze, their faces filled with regret. Looking at the battlefield that had already turned into a river of blood, all of their faces were extremely pale. Star Moon King, go to hell! At this moment, in the sky that was covered by flames, Feng Wan's cold voice sounded. If you want to kill me, you'll have to pay a heavy price too. In front of him, the Star Moon King was in an extremely sorry state. His long golden hair was disheveled and his body was charred black. He stared at Feng Wan with a somewhat pale face and roared ferociously. The Star Moon King never expected that he was actually not a match for the Dragon Phoenix Queen. The other party's terrifying flame control caused him to suffer quite a bit. Seeing that the Dragon Phoenix Queen was about to unleash her strongest attack, he tightly held onto his scepter. Twinkle, twinkle, flaming starlight, I want to see who will kill who today. He swept his gaze below and fearfully looked at the terrifying millstone at the side. He swore to fight to the death as he roared. Phoenix cry, 100 fire phoenix. The phoenix staff in Feng Wan's hand was raised towards the sky. In the surroundings, densely packed flames condensed. A phoenix that was over 2,000 meters in size condensed in the void. It flapped its enormous wings and attacked the Star Moon King's flaming starlight. The fiery starlight was located behind the Star Moon King, condensing into a pattern of the fiery starry sky. When the 100 fire phoenix rushed over, it was like the world-extinguishing fire phoenix, destroying the fiery starry sky. No. When the world-extinguishing fire phoenix swallowed the starry sky, it continued to swallow the Star Moon King. If you dare to kill me, our Howling Wind dynasty won't let you go. Our king won't let you heavens, demon beasts go. At this moment, not far from the side, Mao Zixin's long and slender arm, which was covered in dragon scales, grabbed the Howling Wind dynasty lord's arm. Die. The Howling Wind dynasty lord's face was flushed red as he roared in terror. Die. However, Mao Zixin's cold eyes did not have the slightest ripple as he exerted force with his palm. Crack, crack, the sound of breaking could be heard. The Star Moon King and the Howling Wind dynasty's rank 4 void interpretation experts had fallen one after another. No, we surrender. Don't kill us. I surrender, I surrender. When the 2 kings and the Howling Wind dynasty's king had died completely, below, the soldiers of the 3 dynasties' armies had completely collapsed. One by one, the soldiers threw away the weapons in their hands in fear and shouted loudly. Some of them even knelt on the ground and started begging for mercy. They looked at the densely packed corpses around them, and their faces were extremely pale. Every single one of them was trembling. They had completely given up on resisting. The current 400,000-strong army had less than 100,000 soldiers. Some of the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire saw them surrendering and stopped their attacks. However, the members of the Dragon Palace did not stop. They would not stop without Wang Xian's order. Even if the other party gave up resisting, they continued to kill rapidly. This caused the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to hesitate. There are no captives. Kill them all. Feng Wan floated in the sky. Her cold eyes stared downwards as she made her final judgment. Kill them all. Not a single one of the 400,000-strong army was left alive. As the former empress, Feng Wan had witnessed too many massacres. In a war, there was only killing and being killed. If there were no Wang Xian today, what would happen to the Dragon Phoenix Empire? As they said, all the men were killed and all the women became slaves. Everyone was very clear about the fate of slaves. Kill. They are here to kill us and make us women slaves. Similarly, we will not spare a single one. Not a single one alive. Hearing the queen's order, a general roared with a ferocious expression. All the soldiers agreed, and the killing continued. Blood flowed like a river. 400,000 corpses fell to the ground. The entire scene was spectacular. However, the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty were not afraid. In this world, monsters would usually attack cities with hundreds of thousands or even millions of corpses. They didn't feel uncomfortable about this at all. All the citizens looked at the soldiers below as if they were looking at a hero. The soldiers didn't hesitate to kill the enemy either. This was their meritorious service. Although this war was mainly dependent on Lord Wang and his subordinates, they were still able to survive. Screams of pain rang out. The remaining less than 100,000 people were quickly killed. Foam, I'll take these corpses away. They're useful. When the last scream ended, Wang Xian looked at Feng Wan and said to her, "Of course, clean up the battlefield. We'll prepare for the next plan." Feng Wan smiled and nodded at Wang Xian. "Reporting to your majesty. In this battle, our Dragon and Phoenix dynasty only lost more than 50 people. If we kill the enemy, it's all thanks to Sir Wang's subordinates." A group of generals flew over excitedly and reported to Feng Wan. As they spoke, they looked at Wang Xian with respect and admiration in their eyes. If Wang Xian and the Dragon Palace were not here, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty would definitely be destroyed. It was also because of the powerful subordinates of the Dragon Palace that they had only lost more than 50 people. Otherwise, if they were to lose more than 10,000 people in a battle, it would be a complete victory. Not to mention that there were only 50 people. As for killing the enemy, they would just follow behind and add on the damage. They didn't dare to talk about killing the enemy. General of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. Yu Cheng, Meng Hong, and the rest exchanged glances and bowed to Wang Xian to express their gratitude. General of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. All the citizens of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, thank you, Sir Wang. Thank you, Lord Wang. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty bowed and thanked him. Following that, all the people of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty bowed deeply and thanked him loudly. Chapter 1370. 1370 in the Dongyuan dynasty, where 1370 peed their pants. There's no need. Get up. Wang Xian saw the millions of pairs of eyes looking at him with respect and admiration. He waved his hand with a smile and said nonchalantly. Feng Wan came to Wang Xian's side and looked at him with a smile. She said softly, "Thank you." "Haha." Wang Xian raised his head slightly and laughed loudly as he looked at her with an arrogant look. "Humph." Feng Wan rolled her eyes at him when she saw her behavior. She snorted softly and looked at the members of the Dragon Palace. "I really didn't expect them to improve to such a terrifying level in just half a year." "That's because I'm back. Naturally, they will be able to improve tremendously." Wang Xian laughed and echoed from the side, "You are really thick-skinned." Feng Wan looked at him speechlessly. Sigh, look at Her Majesty the Queen and Lord Wang chatting and laughing. This is very rare. Her Majesty the Queen has always been extremely cold. Is it because Her Majesty and Lord Wang have... Don't talk about Her Majesty behind her back. But I feel that our Queen and Lord Wang are very compatible. Furthermore, the Queen and Lord Wang are very close. It would be great if the Queen could really be together with Sir Wang. With Sir Wang around, who would our Dragon Phoenix Empire be afraid of? Perhaps our Queen and Sir Wang are already together. You don't know that this city was given to our Queen by Sir Wang. Also, every time we are in trouble, Sir Wang would come over to help us. What do you want to say? At the back, The citizens who were floating in the sky saw the intimate interaction between Wang Xian and Feng Wan. They looked over from time to time and laughed. The generals and soldiers on the city wall also turned over. Their faces were filled with smiles. They really hoped that Her Majesty the Queen could be together with Sir Wang. With Sir Wang around, they would have nothing to fear in the future. During today's battle, Wang Xian's position in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty was almost comparable to Feng Wan's. Reporting to the Queen, the army of the Dongyuan dynasty is currently at a location of 15 kilometers away. They are expected to arrive in 5 minutes. At this moment, a scout flew over quickly and reported loudly. Dongyuan dynasty. Feng Wan revealed a smile when she heard the scout's report. The 4th dynasty. Wang Xian's eyes lit up and he couldn't help but lick his tongue. The delivery man had arrived. Those scumbags from the Dongyuan dynasty. Since they are here, we will give them a surprise. Haha. The generals from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty laughed confidently. At this moment, an army was flying towards them at a speed of 15 kilometers away from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. This army was completely different from the 3 dynasties of the Star Moon dynasty. At the front of the army were rows of palace maids, each of whom was riding on colorful birds and beasts. They stood on top with a huge cattail leaf fan in their hands. A total of 20 palace maids stood on both sides, and at the back was a sedan chair that was 20 meters long. The sedan chair was pulled by 10 5-meter-long beasts, and in the middle of the sedan chair sat a middle-aged man in a luxurious dragon robe. The middle-aged man in the dragon robe had a small mustache, and the 2 concubines on his left and right were serving him. Behind him was a powerful army. This trip did not seem to be for war, but for tourism. Speed up. We can't let Star Moon Dynasty destroy them. We must get the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty's flourishing Age Fire Lotus and the flourishing Age Fire Lotus Array formation. The middle-aged man in the dragon robe who was sitting on the dragon palanquin looked at the information in his hand. He frowned slightly and said to an old man around him, "Yes, Your Majesty." The old man revealed a bitter smile. How could he be fast enough to destroy a dynasty with such a formation? However, the old man could only mumble in his heart. He shouted at the surrounding people and sped up a little. "Your Majesty, there's no need to be anxious. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty actually dared to kill our envoys. We can easily destroy them. Even if the Star Moon dynasty has already destroyed the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the treasures still belong to us. They don't dare to fight with us." A woman next to the dragon-robed, middle-aged man said with a smile, "Beware of accidents." The dragon-robed, middle-aged Eastern Yuan king frowned as he looked at the information in front of him and said indifferently, "With our Dongyuan dynasty's strength and your wisdom, nothing unexpected will happen." The woman said flatteringly, "If it was in the past, I naturally wouldn't be worried, but a mysterious and powerful force suddenly appeared in our vicinity." The Dongyuan king's eyes flickered. They destroyed the Sky Island dynasty and the One Leaf Continent dynasty. That's the One Leaf Continent dynasty. What? There's actually such a powerful force? The Dongyuan king's words caused the 2 women to be slightly shocked, and their expressions changed slightly. "Yes, but after we obtain the flourishing Age Fire Lotus and the flourishing Age Fire Lotus Array, our strength will be greatly increased. It won't be long before our strength will surpass the One Leaf Continent Empire. When that time comes, we won't be afraid even if we meet that force." A trace of arrogance slowly appeared on the Dongyuan king's face. "That's for sure. Even if His Majesty meets that mysterious faction now, with His Majesty's powerful strength, he will be able to crush everything. In this flowing sea region, other than the top factions in the Ladyboy Graveyard, other than the Carefree City Lord position, you are the most powerful." The 2 women continued to lick. "Haha, of course." The king of Dongyuan lay down and narrowed his eyes, his face full of enjoyment. He did not take the Dragon Phoenix dynasty's attack to heart at all. However, when he thought of the graceful figure of the Dragon Phoenix Queen, his heart burned with passion. The magnificent army flew toward the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. What a strong smell of blood. Is there a fight already? Maybe the Star Moon Empire has already destroyed the Dragon Phoenix Empire. After all, a small Dragon Phoenix can't resist the alliance of 3 dynasties at all. We have to be quick too. Our king is determined to get that treasure. Faster! On both sides, the insightful Emptiness realm experts whispered to each other when they smelled the smell of blood in front of them. As the army flew, the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City appeared in their line of sight. The Dongyuan dynasty has arrived. The Dongyuan king has arrived. Has the Dragon Phoenix dynasty been destroyed? When the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City appeared in their line of sight, the arrogant voice of an old man sitting beside the king of the Dongyuan dynasty directly covered the front. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty has killed our country's envoy and snatched the treasures. Today, our Dongyuan dynasty's army has come to subvert it. The old man explained his intentions, and the entire Dongyuan dynasty army flew forward proudly. However, as they got closer and closer to the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, they felt that the atmosphere was a little weird. On the city wall, a group of soldiers were looking at them mockingly. Chapter 1371. 1371. Under the terrified Dongyuan dynasty. They were afraid that the air would suddenly become quiet. When the Dongyuan dynasty was only about 2,000 meters away from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, the entire army stopped. They felt the strange atmosphere around them and looked up at the city wall. On top, soldiers stood there with a mocking smile in their eyes. This caused everyone in the Dongyuan dynasty to be slightly stunned. The 150,000-strong army looked around in shock. The blood-red river was located in front of the city, and the thick smell of blood assaulted their nostrils. The ground was covered with corpses. In the middle of the corpses, there were close to 3,000 strange creatures cleaning something up. Seeing them arrive, all the creatures stopped and stared at them with wild eyes. Their bodies were stained with sticky blood, and every creature was exuding a terrifying power and murderous aura. This was definitely not something that could be obtained by simply killing dozens of people. Every creature had to kill at least hundreds of people to be able to condense such a terrifying, murderous aura. In the sky, the 9 huge, swaying flood dragons stared at them coldly. Have we arrived? What's going on? The king of the Dongyuan kingdom, who was lying on the palanquin, felt the troops stop and the strange atmosphere around him. He immediately sat up. Placing his hands on his knees, he pulled off his loose dragon robe and stared ahead. Long time no see, king of the Dongyuan kingdom. Are you here to subvert our Dragon Phoenix dynasty? Feng Wan's voice rang out. She slowly floated into the sky and stared coldly at the Dongyuan kingdom. Your Dragon and Phoenix dynasty wasn't. Looking at the Dragon and Phoenix queen floating in the sky, the king of the Dongyuan kingdom was slightly stunned. A trace of surprise flashed through his eyes. Boom! 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 However, before he could finish his words, he saw the generals on the city walls slowly flying toward the ground. At the city gates, the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty charged out with killing intent on their faces. Against a force that wanted to destroy their dynasty, they could only return a tooth for a tooth, an eye for an eye. Roar, roar! In the sky, 9 flood dragons roared. Their huge bodies swayed as they slowly surrounded them. Seeing this scene, all the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were stunned. They had just arrived, and before they were ready to attack, the enemy had already started to slowly approach them. What was more frightening was that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty didn't seem to have suffered much loss. Then, where did the hundreds of thousands of corpses on the ground come from? Could it be A thought suddenly appeared in everyone's mind. As they looked at these terrifying creatures, their expressions slowly began to change. The entire sky was silent. Only the cold expressions of the dragon and phoenix dynasty soldiers could be seen. You killed the Star Moon dynasty. And Dongyuan dynasty, insightful emptiness realm expert, saw this scene and had a bad premonition in his heart. He asked with a shocked expression, "If you want to destroy us, then we will also kill the enemy." Feng Wan's incomparably cold voice rang out in their ears, causing the expressions of all the Dongyuan dynasty soldiers to change greatly. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty had actually killed the 3 invading armies of the Star Moon dynasty. Then, they looked at the 9 long and 30 terrifying creatures in the sky, looking at the demonic beasts that were emitting monstrous, demonic chi and violent lightning. Boom! At this moment, the king of the Dongyuan dynasty, who was sitting in the sedan, suddenly stood up, his gaze fixed on the 9 flood dragons in the sky, the demon monkey, and the thunder shrimp in front of him. His arm trembled slightly, and he looked at the information in front of him. There were not many words on the information, but there were a few pictures on it. These were all sent by the spies planted by the Dongyuan dynasty in the One Leaf continent. Among them, there were 3 pictures that were more eye-catching. One of them was a 30-meter long flood dragon. One of them was a devil monkey with monstrous devil chi, and the other was a thunder prawn covered in lightning. The pictures were very realistic. They were exactly the same as the 3 creatures in front of them. How is this possible? Why is that mysterious force killing us? Dragon Phoenix Queen, you killed an envoy of our Dongyuan dynasty for no reason. Do you really think that our Dongyuan dynasty is afraid of you? Do you want to give us an explanation? The king of the Dongyuan dynasty stood there and muttered. Suddenly, a burly old man on the left took 2 steps forward with an angry expression. He stared at everyone in front of him with a cold expression and shouted loudly. His words caused the expression of the king of the Dongyuan dynasty to change drastically. "Shut up!" He hurriedly shouted at the old man who spoke. His tone quickly changed as he cupped his hands towards Feng Wan. "It's a misunderstanding. Your Majesty, the Dongyuan dynasty is not here to find trouble with you. We are here to help you. That's right. We are here to help you fight against the 3 dynasties. However, we didn't expect that you would destroy them all. Hee, congratulations." The Dongyuan king squeezed out a smile and said, "Since the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is safe and sound, we will leave now and return to the palace." Finally, he said the word, "return to the palace," in a somewhat hurried manner. Everyone in the entire Dongyuan Empire was stupefied as they looked at their king with a face full of astonishment. This FUCK. The king was here to make a joke. Some of the generals frowned slightly. When they saw the king's tone of submission, their eyes flickered with a luster. Return to the palace. Immediately return to the palace. A few insightful emptiness realm experts understood the situation and said hurriedly, "Since you're here, don't leave." At this moment, Wang Xian's voice rang out. He didn't understand why the Dongyuan dynasty was so cowardly and left immediately. However, the express delivery that was delivered to them didn't allow them to leave. Wang Xian waved his arm. The 5 elements millstone flew into the sky and covered an area of 2 kilometers. It covered the 150,000 troops of the Dongyuan dynasty. Roar! Roar! Seeing the Dragon King making his move, the members of the Dragon Palace roared and charged at the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty. The 3,000 creatures charged at the 150,000 soldiers. It looked a little comical, but it was true. Run. Everyone run. Run now. However, what shocked everyone even more was that the king of the Dongyuan dynasty's expression changed drastically. With a roar, his body moved. Without any hesitation, he fled into the distance. What? All the generals and soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were somewhat stunned when they saw the king flee. Flee immediately. The other party is the faction that destroyed the Sky Island dynasty and the One Leaf Continent dynasty. Immediately. When the Dongyuan king saw the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty, who were somewhat stunned, he turned his head and roared with an extremely embarrassed expression. How is this possible? Destroy the factions of the Sky Island dynasty and the One Leaf Continent dynasty? What? This, the king said. When the terrified voice of the Dongyuan king sounded again, everyone trembled. Destroy the forces of the One Leaf Mainland dynasty and the Sky Island dynasty. The One Leaf Mainland dynasty was an existence that was even more powerful than their Dongyuan dynasty. Run! Everyone in the Dongyuan dynasty was scared to death. Chapter 1372. 1372 wiped out 100,000 in one strike. He escaped. The Dongyuan king actually escaped. All the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty actually escaped this. Wiped out the power of the One Leaf Continent dynasty. I know about the One Leaf Continent dynasty. That's the most powerful existence among the dozens of dynasties nearby us. Could it be that this dynasty has been wiped out? Furthermore, the Dongyuan king looks so frightened. Was it Lord Wang and the others who destroyed it? It must be. I didn't expect Lord Wang to destroy such a huge dynasty. It's simply too terrifying. The Dongyuan king's escape caused everyone from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty to be stunned. What the hell? Was there a need to be so cowardly? However, when they heard the Dongyuan king's words, they were all in a daze. Many people knew of this powerful dynasty. It was not an exaggeration to say that the One Leaf dynasty was even stronger than the 3 dynasties that had just united. However, what they did not expect was that such a dynasty had been destroyed by Lord Wang and the others. How terrifying! No wonder the people of the Dongyuan dynasty were fleeing like they had wet their pants. They did not even care about the image of the king. Some of the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty thought to themselves, Kill them all. If they don't attack me, I won't attack them. Kill them all. A general of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty roared when he saw that the soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were about to escape. He was filled with killing intent. Kill! The soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty roared with killing intent as they chased after them. Run! 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 At this moment, the 150,000 soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty were in complete chaos. They had come here thinking that they could kill wantonly and have fun with the women of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, they didn't expect to encounter a force that even the king was terrified of. The soldiers fled into the distance in fear. The entire army was in complete chaos. If you want to kill, we will send you to hell. Just as the 150,000 soldiers and powerhouses of the Dongyuan dynasty were fleeing frantically in all directions, Wang Xian's cold voice rang out. The 5 elements millstone that was suspended in the sky was operating slowly. Wang Xian's body trembled. The entire 5 elements millstone trembled slightly as well. A grayish destructive energy charged towards the 150,000 soldiers in front of him. The grayish energy covered an area of 2 kilometers. Like a long river, it swept towards the place with the highest number of people. The speed was so fast that some insightful void martial artists could not dodge in time. There's an attack from the back. Defend. You want to leave me here? Impossible. Run. One of the generals sensed the grayish energy sweeping towards him. His expression changed slightly as he charged forward and flew into the sky. The other insightful emptiness realm expert clenched his teeth tightly and charged forward. Block, block, block. The gray energy that covered an area of 2 kilometers and penetrated 7 to 8 kilometers arrived. An insightful emptiness realm expert at the back shouted loudly. His body was emitting a thick and heavy earth energy. His entire body was completely covered by the earth energy. The earth attribute defense was the strongest. However, just as he finished speaking, the gray energy covered his body. His entire body trembled and his eyes widened slightly. The earth attribute energy on his body slowly descended. His life force vanished and his body fell towards the ground. 1. The gray energy covered an area of 7 to 8 kilometers. It was as if a black ink had been left on a piece of white paper. Silence, silence. Ah! A rank 2 void interpretation expert who had just started flying towards the sky quickly dodged the attack of the gray energy and flew upwards. However, his legs were still swept by the gray energy. A terrifying destructive energy entered his legs. He let out a loud roar and hurriedly flew upwards. It could be seen that his legs had completely lost their vitality. What? This is impossible. Oh my God! Following the expert's roar, when he looked downwards, the surrounding soldiers saw the area that had been wiped out by the gray energy. In an instant, their eyes widened, filled with fear. At least 2/3 of the entire army, at least 100,000 people, had fallen to the ground. There was not the slightest bit of life, nor were there any screams. They fell to the ground directly. There were even quite a few profound void martial experts among them. The remaining 40,000 to 50,000 people were somewhat dazed. Looking at the 100,000 people who were instantly killed, each of their eyes were filled with fear. 1 strike to kill 100,000 people. No, I don't want to die. Devil, he is a devil. The remaining soldiers of the Dongyuan dynasty screamed in despair. Some of them even collapsed on the ground. 100,000 of their comrades were killed in 1 strike. How could they escape? Roar! The members of the Dragon Palace rushed over and killed the 50,000 soldiers who had already collapsed. Hiss! Lord Wang is too terrifying. He destroyed 100,000 soldiers in 1 strike. Heavens, he's too powerful. With just Lord Wang alone, he can destroy an entire dynasty, right? Everyone from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty stared with their eyes wide open. They looked at the peerless expert floating in the sky, their eyes filled with reverence. This strength, no wonder he was able to destroy the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. The king of the Dongyuan kingdom, who had already fled nearly 10 kilometers ahead, turned his head and took a glance, his eyelids twitching. He could already imagine how terrifying it would be to destroy that mysterious force from the One-Leaf Continent dynasty. However, he had never expected that the other party would actually destroy 100,000 elites of his Dongyuan dynasty in 1 move. His heart was dripping with blood. The soldiers who had followed him here to subvert the Dragon Phoenix dynasty this time were the most elite army of the Dongyuan dynasty. If there's a chance, I will definitely take revenge. I will definitely kill all of you and leave no one alive in your Dragon Phoenix dynasty. His eyes turned bloodshot. Originally, he had thought of coming to the Dragon Phoenix Empire to bring those 2 treasures over. With those 2 treasures, his strength would greatly increase. It would also be of great benefit to the entire Dongyuan Empire. However, he had never thought that he would encounter the faction that destroyed the One-Leaf Continent Empire. Just you wait. He growled, glanced behind him, and continued to flee. He wanted to return to the dynasty, collect all the treasures, and then abandon his country and flee. Do you think you can escape? At this moment, a cold voice sounded out beside his ear, and a figure of light and darkness appeared in front of him. Pooh! What? I? He widened his eyes, which were filled with disbelief. Buzz! Everything disappeared, including the king's body. Kill them, don't let them escape. Roar, roar. Angry killing sounds and the roars of the members of the Dragon Palace. Soon, the army of the Danyuan dynasty was destroyed. At this point, the armies of the four countries were all destroyed. Chapter 1373. 1373 swept across the four kingdoms. Victory! We've won! Haha! The Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is invincible. The Queen is invincible. Lord Wang is invincible. He destroyed 100,000 in one strike. He's too strong. When the Donyuan dynasty's army was destroyed, the cheers of victory resounded throughout the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. All the citizens cheered excitedly. The city gates opened, and the citizens rushed out one by one. The army and dynasty that were supporting them looked at their queen and their lord king in awe. Clean up all the corpses quickly. Ao Qitian, Ao Jian, Ao Qixia, and Muzasin, the four of you will follow me. Wang Xian looked at the densely packed corpses on the ground without the slightest fluctuation. As for destroying 100,000 in one strike, it wasn't an extremely difficult task for him. With the destructive power of the five elements' great mill, it was completely easy for him to kill 100,000 in one strike. As he spoke, he looked at Feng Wan, who was at the side. Feng Wan nodded her head, slowly. Her gaze swept across all the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, listen up! The Star Moon Empire, the Donyuan Empire, the Wind Howl Empire, and the Southern Cloud Empire have invaded us. Next, we must destroy them all within 10 days. We must either submit or die. 10 days later, our Dragon Phoenix Empire will soar into the skies and shock the world. Yes, destroy them and unify the four great empires. Destroy them and unify the four great empires. The Dragon Phoenix Empire's soldiers roared out in excitement. The crowd was excited. Their small Dragon Phoenix Empire had defeated the four great empires. Each of these four kings had more than 10 cities, and the Donyuan dynasty had more than 20 cities. They were the best of the dozen or so nearby countries. If they took over all four dynasties, their Dragon Phoenix dynasty's territory would expand by dozens of times. At that time, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, which had more than 60 cities, would become the strongest existence in the nearby area. At that time, the Dragon and Phoenix Empire would be considered to have shocked the world. All the soldiers, follow me on the expedition. Feng Wan shouted softly and swept her gaze across all the soldiers. Line up. Mang Hong roared loudly and shouted excitedly. Yes. The soldiers lined up and stared at Her Majesty and their Lord Wang with burning eyes. Flood Dragon, come. Wang Xian shouted softly. With a wave of his arm, a dragon throne and a phoenix throne were formed using attributes. Roar, roar. The 9 flood dragons swayed their 30-meter large bodies and flew to the front. Buzz. The wind attribute energy on their bodies moved and pulled the dragon throne and phoenix throne. Wang Xian gestured to Feng Wan. Let's go. Feng Wan revealed a smile on her face. With a move of her body, she flew to the phoenix throne and sat on it. Wang Xian sat on the dragon throne. The 9 flood dragons roared and flew into the distance. Behind them, the 100,000 troops of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire followed closely behind. The 100,000 troops of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire were not weak. They were the strongest warriors that Feng Wan had painstakingly nurtured. Each of them was at least at level 5 of the extraordinary realm. There were 14 insightful void martial artists following them. However, with Wang Xian's 9 flood dragons and the leaders of the Dragon Palace, it was not difficult to take down 4 empires. My queen, the Star Moon Empire's eastern sea city, is 20 kilometers ahead. After flying for 5 hours, they were about to arrive at the first city. The city lord of Eastern Sea City has already died in battle when he came to invade our empire. Go straight there and kill them if they dare to resist." Feng Wan ordered coldly. "Yes, your majesty." The soldiers immediately replied. "Come, come, come. We congratulate Lord Wei. We congratulate Lord Wei for being as blessed as the East Sea. We also welcome Lord Wei to settle down in East Sea City in the future. Today, our city lord and legion commander will follow Her Majesty to attack the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. They are unable to come personally. Our city lord's mansion and the Ocean Cultivators Legion congratulate Lord Wei." At this moment, the entire Eastern Sea City was extremely lively and festive today. Everyone in the city, including the people from the City Lord's Mansion and the Ocean Cultivator Corps, all came to a manor and gave congratulatory gifts to a middle-aged man. "Ha! Thank you, thank you, thank you," everyone from the City Lord's Mansion and the Ocean Cultivator Corps. "When the City Lord and General return in triumph, I'll have a good chat with them." The middle-aged man was General Wei, who had betrayed the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. At this moment, he proudly bowed to the people below with a smile on his face, enjoying the respect of everyone below. After he left the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, he came directly to East Ocean City. After the city lord of East Ocean City learned about it, he treated him with hospitality and invited him to stay here. General Wei hesitated for a moment and agreed. Looking at all the aristocratic families in the Eastern Sea City, looking at him respectfully, the corners of General Wei's mouth curled up slightly. When he joined the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, he valued the resources and status of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. However, he later discovered that his status was not very high in the entire Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. This was because the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty only had one imperial city, and he could not act recklessly in the imperial city. As a general, he could not even make a move when he liked the beauty he liked. This made him feel very uncomfortable. Looking at the group of beauties sent over by the group of nobles, he narrowed his eyes slightly. HMPH, a general who might have already been destroyed, might as well be a noble in Eastern Sea City. He narrowed his eyes slightly and raised the cup in his hand to signal to everyone. Below, everyone quickly raised their cups, respectfully in fear and trepidation. Boom! Everyone in Eastern Sea City, listen up. Star Moon Dynasty is attacking our Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. All warriors, including the king, will be beheaded, submitted, or die. Roar, roar. At this moment, a loud sound was suddenly heard, accompanied by a cold voice and a roar. The sound covered the entire Eastern Sea City. Oh my God, what's going on? What? The defensive formation of our Eastern Sea City was destroyed in one blow. Look at the sky, that army, that creature, it's so terrifying. Our king was killed. The army that went to attack the Dragon Phoenix dynasty was destroyed? How? How is this possible? Within Eastern Sea City, everyone raised their heads and looked up into the sky. Their eyes were wide open, filled with shock. The 100,000-strong army charged over, but the soldiers on the city walls did not have the slightest reaction. The 30-meter-long creature lightly struck out, and the city protection formation shattered. As the closest city to the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, they naturally knew that the Star Moon dynasty had joined forces with the Windhull dynasty and the Southern Cloud dynasty to destroy the Dragon Phoenix dynasty today. In the eyes of the people of East Sea City, this dynasty could be easily destroyed, but they had never expected the enemy to attack. Their king and army were directly destroyed. How was this possible? Kneel down, everyone kneel down. Otherwise, I'll kill you. A cold voice sounded from the sky, and a terrifying pressure pressed down. Everyone's expressions changed drastically. What this? This is impossible. At this moment, General Wei, who was in the manor of Eastern Sea City, opened his eyes wide. He stood up and stared at the sky in disbelief. Chapter 1374. 1374, 1374 swept through the four kingdoms. Impossible. With the strength of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, it's not on the same level as the three great dynasties, not to mention the Danyuan dynasty. That's the Dragon Phoenix Queen. That's really the Dragon Phoenix Queen. All the generals of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty are here. And that young man, could it be that the young man saved? In the manor, Wei Qibing's body was trembling as he looked at the sky. The familiar figures and their terrifying auras caused disbelief to appear on their faces. Kneel down, are you courting death? Boom! The generals of the Dragon Phoenix Empire looked at the stunned citizens below and revealed an extremely cold expression. With a wave of their arms, they directly attacked a place below. Boom! A terrifying explosion sounded out, and the powerful destructive force destroyed everything within a kilometer. Kneel down! Hurry up and kneel down! Plop! 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 Looks like it's true. Our dynasty went to destroy the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, and in the end, all of our legions were wiped out. Oh my God, we've lost. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. Don't kill us. The entire Eastern Sea City fell into complete chaos. The citizens immediately knelt down on the ground, their faces filled with terror. Some of them begged for mercy loudly. The stewards of the city lord's mansion and the army in Eastern Sea City, come here! The cold voice of a general once again covered the entire Eastern Sea City. If you call us again, we... Within the manor, the two old men looked at each other and swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Their eyes were filled with terror. You have 3 seconds. If you don't come out, I'll kill you. The cold voice sounded again, causing the two stewards of the city, Lord's Mansion, and the Ocean Cultivator Corps to tremble. Sir, we're here. The two didn't dare to hide anymore. With their status, they would know after asking around. They stood up and shouted with trembling voices. All the soldiers of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty floated in the sky and looked in that direction. However, when they saw a familiar figure, they were slightly stunned. A middle-aged man was still sitting there, and his face looked a little uncertain. It's that traitor, Wei Qibing. A general looked there in astonishment. Wei Qibing. All the generals and soldiers looked over at the same time. Mang Hong licked his tongue as he stared at Wei Qibing with killing intent in his eyes. Boom! He didn't hesitate at all as the huge axe in his hand slashed downwards. A 5-meter-long dazzling huge axe was aimed at Wei Qibing. Bastard, I told you to kneel down. Didn't you hear me? Do you want to die? A voice filled with killing intent charged towards Wei Qibing. What? Wei Qibing's face was filled with shock as he hurriedly dodged to the side. Bang! The resplendent huge axe descended, directly creating a huge crater within a 100-meter radius. Whoosh! However, just as he dodged the huge axe's attack, Mang Hong's figure rushed over. His burly body held the huge axe in his hand as he pointed it at Wei Qibing. Lord Mang, I kneel. Don't do it. Wei Qibing knelt on the ground with a face full of fear and begged for mercy, loudly. Your Majesty, I, Wei Qibing, am guilty. I am guilty. Please give me a chance. He raised his head in horror and looked at Feng Wan with an extremely ugly expression. He never expected that the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty would actually destroy all the invaders and counterattack. Your Majesty, such a traitor should be killed directly. That's right. Her Majesty guided him in cultivation and gave him a lot of resources. Now that our dynasty is in trouble, this traitor actually escaped and took a lot of things with him. We absolutely cannot let him go. Several generals bowed to Feng Wan with cold faces and pleaded, cripple his strength and strip him of all his assets. Feng Wan judged him coldly. It's the Queen. Below, Mang Hong heard the Queen's words and stared coldly at Wei Qibing. A terrifying killing intent directly covered him. No, no. Your Majesty, you can't do this. His terrified voice resounded throughout the entire Eastern Sea City. Within the manor, the great nobles of Eastern Sea City trembled as they looked at Wei Qibing in front of them. This was an expert at the second level of the profound void tier. Right now, he was like an ant that had all of his strength crippled and all of his finances stripped away. Now that the Star Moon King had been killed and his army destroyed, it meant that the entire dynasty would be taken over by the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Who would dare to approach a fellow that had been crippled by Her Majesty's order in the future? Not only would he not get close, he might even be killed by someone. That was because this place would belong to the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty in the future. No, no. Wei Qibing's miserable cry rang out. He felt his strength in despair. His entire body was crippled, completely crippled by Manghong. He regretted it. He regretted it. If he knew of this ending, he would definitely not betray the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. If he had not betrayed them and the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty had defeated the Four Kingdoms, he would have been the hero of a rising dynasty. He would rule 1 or even 2 or 3 cities, high and mighty. But now, his body trembled and he fainted. Falling from high and mighty to the ground was hard for him to accept. The two of you will temporarily take over East Sea City. In 10 days, when Her Majesty suppresses the Four Kingdoms, you will take charge of the city. Everything in the city will remain the same for the time being. Feng Wan placed a tinder on the manager of the city, Lord's Mansion, and the current leader of the Ocean Cultivators Corps. Yu Qingzi, who was at the side, gave them an order. Yes, 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 sir. It's Her Majesty. We will definitely manage East Sea City well. We don't dare to have any second thoughts. When the tinder landed in their minds, the two of them were completely under control. Feng Wan sent dozens of soldiers to guard the city before continuing on to the next city. To avoid any accidents, Wang Xian went with them. One city after another, one dynasty after another. Those who dared to resist would be suppressed by force. There were 4 dynasties and more than 60 cities. The only one who encountered some resistance was the Wind Howl dynasty. Since the Wind Howl king was not dead, the imperial city had quite a lot of power. However, with Wang Xian around, the Wind Howl imperial city was easily captured. There were large amounts of resources and treasures in the 4 dynasties. Wang Xian, I need to tidy up the land and cities now. I need to be busy for a period of time. In 10 days, all the city lords and powerful families in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty will come to Dragon and Phoenix Imperial City to pay their respects. When the time comes, you can come over if you have nothing to do. I happen to have many treasures for you. After sweeping through all the cities in the 4 nations, Feng Wan could not hide her excitement as she said to Wang Xian, All right, I have to return to the Dragon Palace as well. I have gained a lot this time. Wang Xian nodded at Feng Wan with a smile on his face. All right, I will see you in 10 days. Feng Wan nodded happily. Return to the palace. Wang Xian also ordered the 9 dragons with a smile. Destroying the 4 kingdoms and the corpses of the 55 armies and the huge resources in the 4 kingdoms would allow the strength of the Dragon Palace to increase tremendously. Chapter 1375 1375 Xiaoyao City. Dragon King, you're back. Prime Minister Gui greeted him respectfully when he returned to the Dragon Palace. Well, how have you been these past few days? The corpses of the 4 dynasties had been sent to the Dragon Pool after 10 days of absence. There were 55 corpses, more than 50 of which were at the profound void tier. This energy might not be able to increase the strength of the members of the Dragon Palace who were at the profound void tier by much. However, it was sufficient to increase the strength of the members who were at the half-step void interpretation level. Dragon King, there are more than 500,000 corpses. A total of 500 members of the Dragon Palace have successfully broken through to the Void Interpretation level. The rest of the members are all at the half-step Void Interpretation level. Prime Minister Gue said with a smile, "More than 500? Not bad, not bad at all. I still have some corpses here. Continue to increase your strength." Wang Xian revealed a satisfied expression. With a wave of his arm, he threw a few interspatial rings to Prime Minister Gue. There were tens of thousands of corpses here. All of them came from the Howling Wind Dynasty. It's the Dragon King. With these resources, our Dragon Palace has at least 550 insightful Void Stage powerhouses. Prime Minister Jiwai looked at the resources inside and revealed an excited expression. Wang Xian nodded with a smile. How many members have the Dragon Palace increased during this period of time? Dragon King, we have already become the kings of the sea area. After opening the Dragon Gate, under the attraction of the Dragon Gate, a total of more than 500 creatures have broken through the Dragon Gate. In addition, I have sent people to the remaining Level 1 Dragon Palace on Earth to pick up 200 members who have broken through the Dragon Palace. Currently, the number of members of our Dragon Palace is close to 4,000. Prime Minister Jiwai reported. All right, transfer them all to the current combat divisions to increase their strength. Wang Xian nodded his head. For 1,000 members of the Dragon Palace and 550 experts at the level of the Void Interpretation Realm. The rest were all at the half-step Void Interpretation Realm. This power was already very terrifying. Because the members of the Dragon Palace possessed the bloodline of the Divine Dragon, they had the ability to fight against those of a higher level. Even if it was very difficult for a half-step Void Interpretation Realm to surpass their level by 1 level, 10 half-step Void Interpretation Realm members of the Dragon Palace could definitely fight against 1 level 1 Void Interpretation Realm expert. And more than 500 level 1 Void Interpretation Realm experts could fight against a level 2 Void Interpretation Realm expert. If the current strength of the Dragon Palace was calculated according to the top dynasties and dynasties in the Luhai region, the Light Dragon Dynasty was one of the top dynasties, and there were only more than 200 Void Interpretation Realm experts in the dynasty. As the only dynasty in the Blood Flow region, the Blood Flow Empire only had around 1,000 insightful Emptiness Realm experts. The current strength of the Dragon Palace could be ranked in the top 3 in the Flowing Sea region. Of course, there was still a huge gap between them and the Blood Flow Empire. The medicinal pills and the like that I obtained from the 4 dynasties can be converted into 1 billion dragon crystals. However, I'm still 9 billion away from leveling up. This is too much. Wang Xian thought to himself, if he wanted to level up, he would need to plunder 40 empires to gather 10 billion dragon crystals. This was only to level up to the 2nd level of the Void Interpretation Realm. If he wanted to level up to the 3rd level of the Void Interpretation Realm, he would need the resources of an empire. However, he was not in a hurry. The Transcendence continent was huge. There were at least a few thousand empires. There were also 50 to 60 dynasties and 5 empires behind them. It's really difficult to upgrade the level of the Divine Dragon. However, it's fortunate that the Dragon Palace is here. If I were to cultivate in the Dragon Palace for a day, I would have more than 10,000 dragon crystals. Wang Xian shook his head and flew into the bedroom. When he saw a few girls cultivating, he rushed over with a smile. In the next few days, Wang Xian lived a happy life again. He spent 60% of his time on the bed. Buzz, buzz. On the 10th day, Feng Wan sent a message to Wang Xian's communication stone plate. More than 60 city lords of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire and the major families and forces of the Empire are here to pay their respects. Are you guys going to go and take a look? Wang Xian asked the group of girls. All right. We heard from Sister Fingwan that there will be hundreds of thousands of people coming to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire in the next few days. Guan Shuqing and the group of girls immediately smiled and nodded. All right, let's go. Mao Zixin, Ao Jian, you guys bring some subordinates over. Wang Xian nodded and walked out of the Dragon King Hall. He spoke to Mao Zixin, Ao Jian, and the rest. It's the Dragon King. In the current Dragon and Phoenix Empire, after subjugating a group of city lords and some experts, there were 63 insightful emptiness realm experts in the empire. The original insightful emptiness realm experts that belonged to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire were only a dozen or so. Feng Wan wanted to get Wang Xian to send some of his subordinates over to keep an eye on the situation and prevent any accidents from happening. Naturally, he didn't have any objections. The Heaven's Eye Arrow Division and the Dragon Palace Guards, the Golden Swordfish, had a total of 700 members. Among them, there were more than 100 insightful emptiness realm experts. If they were asked to keep an eye on the situation, it was more than enough to intimidate everyone. Wang Xian did not send all of them over. 60 insightful emptiness realm experts were more than enough. Let's go. They moved and flew directly into the imperial city of Dragon and Phoenix. Flying was prohibited in the imperial city. However, Wang Xian was not included. He led his subordinates and flew straight into the Dragon Palace. Where's the queen? Wang Xian went straight to the main hall of the palace and asked the maids around him. Sir Wang, the queen, is in the study room. Please come in. The maids in the palace quickly brought him in respectfully. It was a completely different situation compared to the last time. Wang Xian, Sister Shuqing, sisters. Feng Wan stood up with a smile when she saw Wang Xian and the rest. Sister Feng Wan. A group of girls surrounded her and started to chat enthusiastically. Wang Xian, in 2 hours at most, the city lords of the 64 cities, as well as the families and forces, will be here. I'll have to trouble the people of the Dragon Palace to help me intimidate them. Feng Wan chatted with Guan Shuqing and the rest for a while before she spoke to Wang Xian. No problem. I've brought the people here. Wang Xian nodded and sat casually at the side, sipping his tea. Okay. Feng Wan nodded. Then, she ignored Wang Xian and continued to chat with Guan Shuqing and the rest. The king's letter of Xiaoyao City. Wang Xian looked at the golden invitation card on Feng Wan's table with a hint of curiosity on his face. Feng Wan, what is this? Wang Xian asked. Oh, right. Don't you want to sell the resources in your hands? You can go to Xiaoyao City. This invitation card was sent from Xiaoyao City. There are a total of 3 of them. In 7 days, there will be a king's auction in Xiaoyao City. It will be held by the master of Xiaoyao City. At that time, there will be more than 20 dynasties and 7 to 8 major forces participating. It can be said to be the gathering of top forces in 1/4 of the first-rate sea region. Feng Wan said as she looked at the invitation letter in his hand. Xiaoyao City. Wang Xian had a hint of doubt on his face. Xiaoyao City is a huge city built by the mayor of Xiaoyao City. This mayor of Xiaoyao City is also the strongest person within a radius of 100,000 kilometers. He is at the 5th level of the see-through void stage. This powerhouse did not build a dynasty. Instead, he built a city. Every 5 years, there will be a grand auction. This year is the 5th year. Feng Wan introduced to him. Chapter 1376. 1376, the rise of 1376 dragons and phoenixes. Xiaoyao City, the mayor of Xiaoyao City. Wang Xian muttered to himself when he heard Feng Wan's introduction. He didn't expect there to be such an expert in the Luhai region. With the strength of a 5th level void interpretation realm expert, he could be considered one of the strongest experts in the human-demon graveyard. The letter of the king of Xiaoyao City? I can go and take a look at it when the time comes. If there are more than 20 dynasties participating in it, I can make use of the items in my hands. Wang Xian thought to himself. After destroying some dynasties, he had too many treasures in his hands. Converting these treasures into resources would increase his strength by a lot. After Wang Xian obtained some information about Xiaoyao City from Fenghuan, he started to check it out. 2 hours passed very quickly. At this moment, it was bustling outside the Dragon Phoenix royal city. City lords from the 64 cities under the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, as well as powerful families and mercenary groups from each city, all rushed over. As the imperial city of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, it was the central city of the entire dynasty. The people from the 64 cities under the Dragon Phoenix dynasty naturally came to pay a visit. Furthermore, the Phoenix dynasty was wantonly holding the selection, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty's prodigy selection, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty's powerful mercenary group selection, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty's expert selection, and so on. Holding all kinds of selection was to retain talents and experts. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire had over 10 million people. With the size of the imperial city, it was enough to house over 20 million people. Next, the imperial city began to attract powerful families and powerful mercenary groups. As the center of more than 60 cities, it was naturally easy to attract some experts. Many people wanted to settle in the imperial city, but the imperial city was not as easy to enter as it used to be. Is this our imperial city? It's so spectacular. It's even bigger than the imperial city of our Dongyuan dynasty. Can you imagine that the entire imperial city has only been established for a year? This glittering city protection array is truly astonishing. I heard that the victory of this war was entirely dependent on a Lord King. Those creatures that are more than 30 meters long are all his. Our current queen is also very powerful. The king of Star Moon Empire was killed by the queen. It is said that there are only a dozen or so profound void martial experts in the imperial city. Their foundations are still rather low. If this queen is not capable, she might not be able to manage more than 60 cities well. Groups of people were riding on vicious beasts, and some are being pulled by cars. There were also some who were carrying carts full of items. Within a short period of time, 4,000 to 5,000 people had gathered at the East Gate. They looked at the Dragon and Phoenix Empire and walked in with a trace of curiosity and suspicion. When they had just entered the city gate, they noticed that there were over 30 middle-aged men holding golden long swords in their hands. They held their long swords with both hands and watched them enter indifferently. Behind them, there were more than 100 middle-aged men with long swords in their hands. This is an insightful Void Realm expert. The 30 middle-aged swordsmen in front are all insightful Void Realm experts. Behind them, there are more than 100 half-step, insightful Void Realm experts. Heavens! Is this the power of the Dragon Phoenix Empire? How terrifying! The Dragon Phoenix Empire doesn't have so many experts. They should be the subordinates of that Lord Wang. They are simply abnormal. They actually have more than 30 insightful emptiness realm experts under them, and they are not ordinary insightful emptiness realm experts. Just as they passed through the city gate, when they saw more than 30 insightful emptiness realm experts scattered around, everyone's faces froze. The traces of contempt in their hearts completely disappeared. Why do I feel that someone has locked onto us? Right at this moment, an insightful emptiness realm expert suddenly frowned slightly and looked towards the surrounding buildings. Hiss! Look at the surrounding and distant buildings. There are experts monitoring the entire city. Insightful emptiness realm expert. I faintly feel more than 20 gazes that are threatening me. Oh my God! The swordsman guards at the door, the experts watching from above, the patrolling guards around. Why do I feel that there are at least 70 to 80 insightful emptiness realm experts? The Dragon Phoenix Queen is trying to intimidate us. It is said that that Lord King has a close relationship with the Dragon Phoenix Queen. Every time the Dragon Phoenix Empire encounters difficulties, that person will make a move. Too powerful. The Dragon Phoenix Queen is not simple either. For her to be able to develop to such a level in a year's time, she is much more powerful than the kings of ordinary dynasties. Keep a low profile in the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. Fighting is prohibited within the city. Void interpretation experts are just like ordinary people. Bullying the weak is prohibited. The Emperor is guilty of the same crime as the commoners. Although the rules of the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City are extremely strict, one can still see the strength and methods of the Dragon Phoenix Queen. More and more people entered the Imperial City. They sized up the city, their eyes filled with reverence. The Imperial City was indeed the Imperial City. This caused many factions and families to consider whether they should settle down in the Imperial City. Feng Yuan had laid down many benefits and policies in the Imperial City. Even some of the Dongshu family's hearts wavered. Over 2 days, over 1 million people poured into the Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. These 2 days could be said to be the proudest period of time for the citizens of the entire Dragon Phoenix Imperial City. Those powerhouses whom they had seen before greeted them respectfully. Some powerful families were asking them about some information about the royal city with enthusiasm. This made every citizen feel proud of being a member of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Wang Xian, the ceremony is about to begin. Come and take a look. On the 3rd day, Feng Yuan came to a lake courtyard where Wang Xian and the group of girls were staying. She said with a smile on her face, "Has it started? All right, I'll go over and take a look. Shu Qing, are you guys coming?" Wang Xian nodded with a smile and asked, "Yes, of course." The group of girls nodded with a smile. With the addition of Zhang Fengying and Xiaoyu, the strength of the 7 girls had all reached the insightful void stage. Sun Lingxiu had even reached the 2nd level of the insightful void stage. The improvement of the cultivation of the group of girls made even Feng Yuan a little jealous. She was the empress, but she was only slightly stronger than the group of girls. This made her very speechless. The group of people walked toward the banquet. The first ceremony of the Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the city lords of the 64 cities, the leaders of the core in the cities, and the families of the profound void martial stage in the cities had all arrived. Her Majesty, the Queen, is here. Her Majesty, the Queen, is here. In the noisy grand ceremony, more than 10,000 distinguished experts were conversing in low voices. When a woman's cold voice rang out, everyone instantly fell silent. Feng Yuan, who was dressed in a fiery red phoenix robe, walked over slowly. Wang Xian and a group of girls walked to the side and walked straight to a separate seat beside the main seat. They didn't steal Feng Yuan's elegance. At this moment, everyone's gaze was focused on Feng Yuan and Wang Xian. "Welcome, Your Majesty." When Feng Yuan came to the main seat, more than 60 city lords, top-notch experts, and important members of their families immediately bowed and stood up. A total of more than 60 insightful void martial artists and more than 10,000 others shouted respectfully, "Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty, the true rise." Chapter 1377 1377 Fire Gold Dragon Seed. A grand ceremony had allowed more than 60 city lords, the Dongshu family's forces in the Dragon Phoenix Dynasty, and the other powerful forces to truly witness the Queen's splendor. As the former empress, she was in charge of more than a few hundred cities. Whether it was her broad vision or her aloof aura, it was not something that a Dongshu expert could compare to. In the eyes of all the city lords and powerhouses present, their former king was far inferior to the Dragon and Phoenix Queen. It was as if they were on a completely different level. Under the respectful gazes of everyone, Feng Yuan formulated one plan after another and implemented one policy after another. Under the combination of grace and power, the hearts of the entire dynasty quickly gathered. Wang Xian and the rest sat at the side and watched with smiles on their faces. To be able to become an eternal empress, Feng Wan's talent was unparalleled throughout history. The Golden Swordfish clan and the Heavenly Eye Arrow division stood on both sides, intimidating everyone in terms of martial prowess. It also let people know that there was a powerful force behind the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. Feng Wan, are you going to the auction in Xiaoyao City? After the grand ceremony of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire ended, Wang Xian sat leisurely in Feng Wan's imperial study and asked her, I can't leave for the time being. There are many matters in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire that need me to take care of. Furthermore, I have to inspect every city one by one. In addition, the various competitions organized by the Dragon and Phoenix Empire have to be carried out as well. Feng Wan shook her head with a smile on her face. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire was more than 10 times stronger today. It could be said that she had taken a huge step on the path of revenge today. Shu Qing, what about the few of you? Are you going to Xiaoyao City with me or not? Wang Xian nodded and looked at the few girls. Of course, I'm going to follow Sister Feng Wan to one city after another. Haha. When the time comes, we can go to more than 60 cities as the cabinet ministers of the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. We can eat all the delicious food and drinks in all the cities. Just thinking about it makes me very happy. The group of girls said with a fiery gaze. Feng Wan was currently in charge of more than 60 cities. Every city in the Transcendence continent was incomparably huge. Every place had its own unique characteristics. Naturally, there was a variety of food and drinks. Now, they were going to the cities with a distinguished status. They could enjoy delicious food and drinks and enjoy different sceneries. Naturally, they were unwilling to accompany Wang Xian to the carefree imperial city. All right. If you guys don't want to go, I'll go by myself. Wang Xian nodded his head, speechlessly. You guys will lead some dragon guards and strange demon and the rest. It's all right. No one in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire dares to disrespect us. Furthermore, our strength isn't weak either. The few girls said with a smile. Wang Xian nodded his head. Now, all the powerful forces in the entire Dragon and Phoenix Empire knew the identities of the few girls. No one dared to provoke them. The faction that Wang Xian displayed this time not only shocked the powerhouses in more than 60 cities. Even Feng Wan was astonished. There were more than 60 Void Interpretation Realm powerhouses than there were during the Great War more than 10 days ago. All right, Xiaoyao City is not close to us. I will set off in a while. Wang Xian nodded and said to them. Xiaoyao City was close to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Based on his speed, it would take at least 3 days. Wang Xian was prepared to set off today. Here, these are things that are not needed in the Empire. I will give them all to you. Feng Wan handed him an interspatial ring. There were many treasures inside. Wang Xian took a look and saw that there were at least trillions of middle-grade spirit stones inside. He didn't stand on ceremony and kept it. If all the items in his hand were converted into resources, it would add about 700 to 800 million dragon crystals to him. It wasn't a lot, but it was definitely not a small amount. All right, I'll head back to the Dragon Palace first before I set off. You guys have fun. Wang Xian said to the group of girls before flying straight to the Dragon Palace. After returning to the Dragon Palace, Wang Xian brought all the treasures that he couldn't use. He led the 4 dragon guards and the 4 strange demons and flew directly in the direction of Xiaoyao City. From the name of Xiaoyao City, one could tell that it was a neutral city. It was built by the top-notch master of Xiaoyao City. The entire city was one of the top cities in the Flowing Sea region. The mayor of Xiaoyao City would hold an auction every 5 years, inviting all the major forces around. The weakest force that could participate in this auction had 3 to 4 profound Void Realm experts. The value of the items in each auction was over 10 trillion middle-grade spirit stones. Moreover, the auction that was held once every 5 years attracted many small forces and individual experts to Xiaoyao City. As time passed, Xiaoyao City became a huge material exchange place. Here, it was claimed that one could buy anything one wanted. Flying in the sky in the wild, one would occasionally encounter some beasts of the insightful void tier. Wang Xian did not hesitate at all and killed them directly. After resting for 4 days, an incomparably huge city finally appeared in Wang Xian's sight. The city was slightly bigger than the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. It looked much more majestic than the Dragon and Phoenix Imperial City. The entire Xiaoyao City was not located on flat ground. Instead, it was located on top of a mountain. Behind it was a mountain peak that was 10,000 meters tall. A waterfall that was 10,000 meters tall fell from the top of the mountain. It was a spectacular sight. There was only one entrance to Xiaoyao City. The ground was paved with gold. From afar, it looked magnificent. There are so many people. Before Wang Xian got close, he noticed that he could bump into groups of people from time to time in the surrounding sky. When he arrived a few thousand meters in front of Xiaoyao City, he saw more than 10,000 people walking towards Xiaoyao City from afar. Each of them looked extraordinary. Apart from humans, he also saw many demonic beast races. At a glance, Wang Xian even saw at least a dozen insightful emptiness realm experts. As expected of the top-notch city within a 100,000-kilometer radius, the King's Auction in Xiaoyao City, which is held once every 5 years, is equivalent to a grand event within a 100,000-kilometer radius. Wang Xian sighed in his heart. The auction was held once every 5 years. He estimated that there would be 500 to 600 insightful emptiness realm experts in the entire city, or even more. Let's go into the city and take a look, Wang Xian said to Ao Jian and the rest before landing directly on the Golden Avenue below. When Wang Xian landed on the ground, he felt an inexplicable throbbing of his bloodline. This caused him to be slightly stunned. Throbbing of his bloodline. This was the first time he had encountered such a situation. What's going on? Wang Xian was stunned for a moment. His heart skipped a beat as he looked to the left. He looked at a young man. This young man could not be considered as a human. He had a steel-like body and was about 2 meters tall. He was extremely burly. He held a fiery red hammer in his hand and looked extremely simple and honest. The throbbing of his bloodline came from this youth. Fire Gold Dragon Seed, the strongest dragon seed in the forging technique of the Dragon Palace. A message appeared in his mind. Chapter 1378. 1378 1378 abject species. Fire Gold Dragon Seed. When Wang Xian saw the information obtained by the system, he was slightly taken aback. His gaze was fixed on the line of words in his mind, the strongest dragon seed in the forging technique in the Dragon Palace. Dragon seed, a powerful dragon seed. Dragons had 9 sons, and each of them was different. A dragon with a weak bloodline could become a divine dragon when he cultivated to the extreme. However, some were different. For example, if a divine dragon was born with the same level of bloodline, the dragon might not necessarily evolve in the direction of a divine dragon. Perhaps they would grow in another direction, and when they grew up, they might not be weaker than a divine dragon. Among them, the top-tier dragon species in the Dragon Palace would not be weaker than a real divine dragon when they grew up, and might even be stronger than an ordinary divine dragon. For example, the thorn dragon species had both light and dark attributes. When they grew up, they were no weaker than ordinary divine dragons. For example, the wild dragon species had 3 attributes: fire, darkness, and lightning. When they grew up, divine dragons of the same level were no match for them. On the other hand, this fire gold dragon species possessed a terrifying talent in forging. It could even be compared to the top-tier forging species in the universe. I actually met a powerful dragon species, a peak-tier dragon species. Ao Yao is the only one in the entire dragon palace. The rest of the dragon species, even the rest of the strange demons, cannot be considered to be at the peak. Wang Xian stared at the 2-meter-tall fire gold dragon seed with a fiery gaze. Its entire body was made of metal, and it looked like a young man. I wonder how many members there are in the fire gold dragon seed race. If there are many of them, I would be rich. He thought to himself. It was not easy to obtain a peak dragon seed. For example, Ao Yao. He was able to become a peak dragon seed because of the heart of light and darkness. If the strange demon wanted to evolve into a thorny dragon seed, he would need an extremely rare heart of darkness. The heart of darkness was a high-level energy. Only experts who had reached the divine realm could condense the heart of darkness. There was another condition, and that was that the other party was a god with darkness attribute. If there were more fire gold dragon seeds, Wang Xian could nurture them into artifact masters and great-grandmasters. When he opened a weapon shop in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire, he could completely monopolize the forging industry in the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. He could use the money from selling weapons to buy pills, which could be converted into strength. The Phoenix clan's talent, apart from their combat strength, is the most powerful in alchemy. Right now, the Fire Cloud Sparrow clan is hiding behind the Phoenix clan. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire's pills are about to be monopolized by the Phoenix clan. If the Dragon Palace can monopolize the refining of weapons, it would be the best of both worlds. Wang Xian was glowing. Monopolizing the crafting of weapons of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty was an extremely terrifying income. Furthermore, the income was endless and unusually crazy. Without any hesitation, Wang Xian walked towards the young man. Before Wang Xian got close, the young man sensed him. He turned his head and looked at Wang Xian vigilantly. "What are you doing? Why are you staring at me?" The young man stared at Wang Xian and the rest vigilantly and asked cautiously, "Little guy, I see that you have a unique bloodline. Are you willing to follow me?" Wang Xian stared at him with a smile on his face. His body emitted the aura of a divine dragon. Sensing the aura of Wang Xian's bloodline, he was slightly stunned. Wang Xian's aura gave him a feeling of familiarity. This kind of familiarity came from his bloodline. His eyes were filled with astonishment. However, very soon, his face showed vigilance again. "You should be able to feel the closeness of our bloodline. Follow me, and I will bring you into the world that you should enter." Wang Xian stared at him and said slowly, "Who are you? I don't know you." The young man stared at him, and his expression changed slightly. "I am Wang Xian. I don't have any ill intentions towards you. How many clansmen do you have? Can you bring me over to take a look?" Wang Xian stared at him and asked, Why should I believe you?" The young man looked at Wang Xian with some hesitation. "Because you have the bloodline of the divine dragon." Wang Xian smiled. "Divine dragon? The bloodline of the dragon race? Don't joke around. If I had the bloodline of the dragon race, how could I be so weak? My clansmen." The young man opened his mouth in disbelief. Wang Xian smiled with a hint of disdain in his eyes. He smiled and said, "The divine dragon is not a member of the dragon race of the supernatural continent. Believe me, can you bring me to see your clansmen?" All right." The young man looked at Wang Xian's friendly expression and nodded his head slowly. "My name is Duan Jinming, a member of the Firehammer clan. Our clansmen are currently working in the gilded gold forging clan." Duan Jinming looked at Wang Xian and said softly, "Firehammer clan? It's fine. Bring me there to have a look." Wang Xian was slightly surprised. He followed beside Duan Jinming and walked towards Xiaoyao City. Stepping on the golden ground, they continued to walk upwards. The entire road was 1,000 meters wide. Xiaoyao City was above them, so they had to walk up a slope. Move, move, move. At this moment, a few shouts came from the back. When Duan Jinming heard the shouts, he quickly dodged to the side. Quickly dodge. They are the descendants of some big families in Xiaoyao City. Duan Jinming reminded Wang Xian immediately. Wang Xian looked over and saw a young man riding on various ferocious beasts heading into the city. There were many families in Xiaoyao City. One or two of the top families were not weaker than some dynasties. However, the strongest one was still the mayor of Xiaoyao City. It could be said that all the families in Xiaoyao City were the subordinates of the mayor of Xiaoyao City. There's no need to be envious. To you, they are just ants. Wang Xian saw the envious look on Duan Jinming's face and said faintly. Duan Jinming was slightly stunned. He pursed his lips and didn't say anything. Xiaoyao City could be entered and exited freely. No one dared to cause trouble here. After passing through a city gate that was a few hundred meters high, Duan Jinming continued to walk in with Wang Xian. This was because Xiaoyao City was located on top of a mountain peak. Every mountain peak was located in an area. Looking at it from afar, it was extremely magnificent. Especially the mountain peak that was 10,000 meters behind the city, it was extremely shocking. The most famous transaction in Xiaoyao City is this. The entire city is divided into 5 zones. One is the weapons zone, one is the elixir zone, one is the ferocious beast zone, and one is the grocery zone. The central zone is the king zone. Each zone has a top-notch family guarding it. Our clansmen are in the weapons zone, the gilded gold family. Duan Jinming led Wang Xian to the left as he explained. Wang Xian smiled and nodded his head. His gaze swept across the surroundings. This Xiaoyao City was completely incomparable to the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Magnificent buildings and magnificent scenery. With Duan Jinming, a local, leading the way, he was able to understand a lot. Soon, Wang Xian followed him to the weapons district. The entire district was filled with weapon shops. There were even many shops with various weapons and metals. Chapter 1379. 1379 was a destitute race. The entire weapon region was filled with a sharp aura. Duan Jinming brought Wang Xian along as they continued to walk inside. They took a carriage in the middle and arrived at the last position. It was the place where the 10,000-meter tall mountain peak was located. Beside it was the gigantic waterfall. The water from the waterfall was flowing downwards. Clang, clang, clang. After passing through a man-made corridor, Duan Jinming brought him to the side of the waterfall. The continuous sounds of forging could be heard. Wang Xian looked inside and realized that it was actually a weapons forging factory. Burly young men, middle-aged men, and even old men who were emitting flames were forging weapons on the weapon forging platforms. Beside them, there were also some women who were handling the weapons one by one. There were more than 2,000 people in the entire site. Behind their forging site, there were houses. The houses looked a little simple and crude. When Wang Xian's gaze swept across each and every one of them, a stunned expression appeared on his face. They were not considered humans. They belonged to the humanoid demonic beast race because they had 4 arms. What surprised Wang Xian even more was that their strength was generally at level 5 or 6. The strongest of them was an elder who was at level 8. Fire Hammer Clan. They had the rare bloodline of the fire gold dragon species. So not everyone is as bright as a broken metal. He should have a bloodline returning to his ancestors. The rest of the Fire Hammer Clan only have a bloodline. Wang Xian looked at the 4-armed Fire Hammer Clan, and a thoughtful look appeared on his face. He looked at the weapons forged by the Fire Hammer Clan and was slightly surprised. As expected of the fire gold dragon species that possessed the best weapon forging talent in the universe. Even if it was just some of its bloodline, it was still extremely powerful. However, its strength was really too weak. The strongest one was only at level 8 extraordinary. This should belong to the top of the bloodline. Jin Ming, the matter has been settled. Quick, quick! There are more weapons that need to be forged in the next few days. At this moment, the elder who was at extraordinary level 8 in the middle wiped the sweat off his forehead and spoke to Duan Jinming. Yes, chief. Duan Jinming replied hurriedly. He looked at Wang Xian and said, If there's nothing else, you can go back. After he finished speaking, he ran straight towards the elder. Jinming, who is that human? I met him on the way here. I wanted to take a look. I saw that he didn't have any ill intentions, so I brought him here. Hee. The voices of Duan Jinming and the old man could be heard from the front. A race with the bloodline of the fire gold dragon is a little down and out. Wang Xian's eyes were sparkling as he looked at this race of more than 2,000 people. Clang, clang, clang. At this moment, Wang Xian suddenly looked at Duan Jinming. He saw that he who originally only had 2 arms had grown 4 more arms. When he forged the weapon, it emitted a golden red glow. According to the breeding method of a peak-level dragon seed, after the Fire Hammer clan cultivates the Fire God Dragon transformation and integrates with the Metal Heart, they will be able to become a Fire Gold Dragon seed. Even if they can't become a Fire Gold Dragon seed now, the Fire Hammer clan is still considered a top-level dragon seed. We must subdue them. Wang Xian's eyes sparkled. Miss, Master has already told you not to come here. I'm here to see if my weapon is ready. Xiao Yan, shut up. At this moment, 2 female voices were heard. Wang Xian looked over curiously. Who is this? One of the pretty voices looked at Wang Xian with a hint of surprise on her face. Wow, miss, this person is so handsome. He has such a temperament. All right, pervert. Beside the pretty girl with 2 braids, a dignified-looking woman glanced at Wang Xian and walked straight to Duan Jinming's position. Jinming, the 3rd miss, is here. Xiaoming, the 3rd miss, is here. At the smithy, some members of the Fire Hammer clan looked at the woman and called out to Duan Jinming in a low voice. Some old men looked over and frowned. They shook their heads helplessly. The 3rd miss is here. Pay attention to your status. Seeing the woman coming over, the clan leader of the Fire Hammer clan reminded Duan Jinming lightly. Okay. Hearing the old man's words, Duan Jinming smiled bitterly. He looked at the woman with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Jinming, have you finished the hairpin I asked you to make? The dignified woman stared at Duan Jinming with a smile and a hint of emotion in her eyes. Okay, 3rd miss, I'll take it for you now. Duan Jinming said hurriedly and ran into the room at the side. The dignified woman looked at his figure with a smile on her face. 3rd miss, here you are, the hairpin you want. Duan Jinming quickly ran out with an exquisite hairpin wrapped in cloth. He didn't dare to look at the woman's eyes. He ran over with a twinkle in his eyes and reached out to pass it to her. It's so beautiful. Thank you, Jinming. I'll take good care of it. The dignified woman shyly hugged him in her arms and said happily. Around her, some of the middle-aged elders of the Fire Hammer clan slowly shook their heads. 3rd sister, you let this lowly bastard forge an item for you again. At this moment, a mocking and disdainful voice suddenly sounded from the front. The faces of all the members of the Fire Hammer clan changed slightly. The dignified woman's face slowly turned ugly as she looked forward. The entire forging factory was divided into 2 areas. About 500 to 600 meters in front of this open-air area, there were also exquisite forging workshops. The 2 were obviously not on the same level. Obviously, that place was used to refine more advanced weapons. 2 women and a young man walked over. Beside them were a few middle-aged men. Big sister, don't tell father. The dignified woman slightly lowered her head and said in a low voice, "Humph, I don't have the mood to complain, but you must remember your identity. Don't disgrace our gilded gold family." One of the women snorted and looked at Duan Jinming with disdain. "Third sister, don't end things with such a lowly guy in the future. Pay attention to your identity. I want to tell Mother about this." The young man next to him coldly berated the dignified woman. "Second brother, don't." The dignified woman's face slightly changed, and she hurriedly said, "Come back with us." The young man said coldly as his gaze swept towards Duan Jinming and the members of the Firehammer clan. "You bunch of lowly fellows, you must know your status and status. Don't be like a toad trying to eat swan meat. You must think about who gave you a chance to survive. If you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for being impolite. Hurry up and work." As he spoke coldly, he glared at the dignified lady, and the group walked out. The dignified lady followed behind with slightly red eyes and walked out. Wang Xian stood at the side and looked at the group of young men who had left. He raised his eyebrows. A lowly race. Chapter 1380. 1380. You are a noble race. Jin Ming, don't interact with the third miss anymore. You are not from the same world. Although second young master said it harshly, but all right, hurry up and get to work. In the middle, the Firehammer clan leader glanced at Duan Jinming and shook his head helplessly. "This third miss is quite nice. Unfortunately, our Firehammer clan is completely unworthy of her. Jin Ming's bloodline is extraordinary, but there's nothing we can do about it. The bloodline restriction of our clan is right here. What a pity for Jin Ming." The voices of some middle-aged men could be heard from the surrounding area. They were whispering to each other. Wang Xian was standing at the side. When he heard their sighs, a smile appeared on his face. He strolled over and came to Duan Jinming's side. Young master, may I know who you are?" The chief of the Firehammer clan asked curiously when he saw Wang Xian walking over. "Those who possess the bloodline of a peak dragon seed are not that extraordinary." Wang Xian looked at the old man with a smile and said faintly, "Young master, what are you doing?" The old man didn't understand what Wang Xian meant and looked at him with puzzlement. "You will understand soon." Wang Xian smiled and flicked his finger. Buzz! An isolated formation suddenly enveloped them. "What are you doing?" The sudden appearance of the formation caused the chief of the Firehammer clan to have a drastic change in expression. He held the firehammer tightly with his forearms and stared at Wang Xian with an embarrassed expression. Duan Jinming's expression also changed drastically. He stared at Wang Xian furiously. "What's going on? What are they trying to do?" "Attack them. Those people want to harm the clan leader and the rest." The expressions of the more than 2,000 members of the Firehammer clan who were standing outside changed drastically. All of them immediately held the firehammer in their hands and attacked the formation. "Don't worry, the Dragon King will not harm them." Ao Jian's figure came out of the array formation and said to the members of the Firehammer clan, "What are you doing? Open the array formation quickly, or don't blame us for being rude." The members of the Firehammer clan saw that their attacks landed on the array formation without the slightest ripple, and their expressions changed slightly. They stared at Ao Jian vigilantly. "If we wanted to harm you, you'd already be dead." Ao Jian slightly raised his head, and his body emitted a faint pressure. Just a trace of pressure made all the people of the Firehammer clan look aghast. "Brothers, don't be afraid." Ao Jian said indifferently to all the people of the Firehammer clan. "Brothers." All the people of the Firehammer clan were shocked when they heard his words. Brothers. How could a powerhouse who was able to intimidate them with just a hint of pressure call them brothers? To be honest, how could the Firehammer clan do this? This made all of them bewildered. Don't be afraid. First of all, I want to tell you that the Fire Hammer clan is not a lowly race. Inside the formation, Wang Xian looked at the vigilant Duan Jinming and the Fire Hammer clan leader as he spoke with a twinkle in his eyes. The two of them stared at Wang Xian in bewilderment. Here are the pills for you. Take them all. Wang Xian moved his palm and passed the pills to Duan Jinming one by one. These are pills of extraordinary level 9. The Fire Hammer tribe leader looked at them with a face full of shock. He stared at Wang Xian with his eyes wide open. Take them directly. There's no need to talk nonsense. Wang Xian said directly. Duan Jinming's eyes flickered. He took the pills directly and swallowed them all into his stomach. Wang, 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 wang. When the pills entered his stomach, every 10 seconds a powerful aura would be emitted from his body. In just 10 seconds, his strength had broken through from rank 7 to rank 9. Rank 9 transcendent. I knew your bloodline was extraordinary. I knew it, haha, I knew it. When he saw Duan Jinming break through the limit of his bloodline, the Fire Hammer clan leader revealed an excited expression. He was extremely excited. The Fire Hammer clan was only a rank 8 transcendent bloodline demon beast race. Now that a clansman had broken through the limit, it was possible for them to lead a better life. This made him cry. I actually broke through the limit of my bloodline. Duan Jinming stared at his arm with a face full of excitement. Fire Hammer tribe leader, all of you possess the bloodline of the Fire Gold Dragon Seed. However, the bloodline of your tribe is too weak. If you agree to be my subordinate and a member of the Dragon Palace, swallow this drop of blood essence. Wang Xian looked at the Fire Hammer tribe leader, and a drop of blood essence floated beside him. A member of the Dragon Palace. The chief of the Fire Hammer clan mumbled. Looking at the blood essence in front of him, he had a strong desire to devour it. However, he could feel a will from it. Once he swallowed it, he might be under his control. This caused his expression to change continuously. Hu, Jinming, this is the chief seal. You will be the chief in the future. The chief of the Fire Hammer clan hesitated for dozens of seconds before he finally heaved a sigh of relief. He took out the chief seal and looked at Wang Xian. Our Fire Hammer tribe is very weak to begin with. No one else can gain anything from us. The Fire Hammer tribe leader's eyes flickered as he spoke. He opened his mouth and swallowed the divine dragon's blood essence. This is the cultivation method of the Fire Divine Dragon transformation. Immediately sit cross-legged and cultivate. As Wang Xian spoke, he imprinted the cultivation method of the Fire Divine Dragon transformation into his mind. The chief of the Fire Hammer tribe trembled for a moment. His face was flushed red as he began to receive the divine dragon inheritance. Wang Xian moved his arm, and streams of dragon energy were injected into his body without any hesitation, cleansing his body. Buzz! An imposing manner was transmitted over. Fierce flames surged out from the chief of the Fire Hammer tribe. A fire hammer was suspended above his head. Duan Jinming, who was at the side, widened his eyes abruptly. His eyes revealed a look of disbelief. Clan leader, his bloodline has also broken through the shackles. He stared at him excitedly. Roar! At this moment, a soft dragon's roar was heard from the fire hammer above the Fire Hammer clan leader's head. A small shadow of a flaming divine dragon appeared. Wang Xian continued to punch into the Fire Hammer clan leader's head. The shadow of the divine dragon on the Fire Hammer gradually solidified. Meanwhile, the aura of the Fire Hammer clan leader kept increasing. Half-step void interpretation to half-step void interpretation. Void interpretation realm. Oh my god, the tribe leader actually broke through to the void interpretation realm. Duan Jinming, who was at the side, stared at the tribe leader whose aura had reached the void interpretation realm in disbelief. In just a few dozen seconds, the tribe leader had broken through from Transcendent Level 8 to Level 1 of the Void Interpretation Realm. This was simply too crazy. He looked at Wang Xian in a daze. He was a little absent-minded. What kind of strength was he? How could he raise the clan leader to the insightful emptiness realm so easily? I, Duan Yanlai, pay my respects to the Dragon King. Thank you for teaching me the cultivation technique and breaking the shackles of my bloodline. Thank you, Dragon King, for helping me raise my cultivation. Wang Xian stopped after raising the Firehammer clan leader to the first level of the insightful emptiness realm. Duan Yanlai, who had just woken up, knelt on the ground and worshipped Wang Xian excitedly. Chapter 1381. 1381. You are from a noble race. Get up. Your bloodline is extremely noble. It's just because your bloodline is too thin. Wang Xian supported him with his arm. The Firehammer tribe leader stood up and lowered his head, respectfully. Thank you, Dragon King. If it weren't for you, our Firehammer tribe would have been like this for generations. We are just a lowly level 8 supernatural race. The leader of the Firehammer clan said gratefully, Duan Jinming's bloodline is 1 level higher than yours. Are you willing to join the Dragon Palace? Wang Xian looked at Duan Jinming and asked him, Join the Dragon Palace. Duan Jinming was a little stunned. Jinming, hurry up and agree. It's time for our Firehammer clan to rise. The leader of the Firehammer clan hurriedly said to Duan Jinming. After absorbing his divine dragon blood essence, the Firehammer clan leader had completely submitted to Wang Xian. Naturally, he would help him to subdue the entire Firehammer clan. Yes, it's the clan leader. Duan Jinming nodded his head. After witnessing Wang Xian's magical means, he would agree even if it was his own choice. All right, swallow the blood essence. You will automatically receive the Fire Gold Dragon Seed's inheritance. Wang Xian nodded his head, and a drop of blood essence floated beside him. Duan Jinming nodded his head and consumed it directly. Following that, Wang Xian injected his dragon qi into his body directly. Arms appeared on his body, one after another. Initially, he only had 6 arms, but now he had 12 arms. His strength had also risen to the first level of the see-through realm. Thank you, Dragon King. Clan leader, my strength has also risen to the first level of the see-through void stage. We are no longer a lowly race. A minute later, Duan Jinming shouted excitedly, Hurry up and thank Dragon King. Yes. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King. As he spoke, Duan Jinming knelt on the ground and kowtowed to him. Get up. Wang Xian smiled. After becoming a member of the Dragon Palace, it didn't mean that they had lost their emotions and desires. Other than being 100% loyal to the Dragon King, they were just like humans. My strength has reached the first level of the see-through void stage. Will I be able to be together with the third lady in the future? Duan Jinming stood up and said excitedly, Of course, I have agreed to your marriage. I will definitely help you marry the third lady back to the Dragon Palace. Haha. Wang Xian smiled. The future development of the Dragon Palace would definitely involve the members of the Dragon Palace getting married, giving birth to children, and then going through a cycle. This was the best way for a top-tier force to live. Currently, the Dragon Palace lacked some vitality. They were all subdued by Wang Xian before they developed intelligence. They lacked some human experience. If the Firehammer clan were to join in the future, it would bring more vitality to the Dragon Palace. Furthermore, the Firehammer clan had over 2,000 members, which could be considered as a huge increase in the number of members of the Dragon Clan. As for asking Duan Jinming to marry the third young lady of the Gilded Gold Clan, Wang Xian was also very supportive. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King. The honest Duan Jinming immediately knelt down and thanked him. No need, Duan Yanlai. Are you working for the Gilded Gold Clan? Quit your job and lead your clansmen to find a place to live. A small Gilded Gold clan is not qualified to make members of my Dragon Palace work. Wang Xian said to the Firehammer clan leader, "It's the Dragon King. We will handle this matter immediately." The Firehammer clan leader replied immediately, "Okay, I will give you some spiritual stones. You go and find a place to live. We will stay here for a few days and find a place to sell some weapons. After the auction, I will bring you back to the Dragon Palace." Wang Xian continued to give him orders. "It's the Dragon King." The chief of the Firehammer tribe nodded. "As for Jinming, don't worry. Before we leave, I'll bring you to the Gilded Gold tribe to propose marriage." Wang Xian looked at Duan Jinming, who was hesitating, and smiled. "Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King." Duan Jinming smiled honestly. Wang Xian smiled as well. As the second peak dragon in the Dragon Palace, he naturally wouldn't treat his subordinates badly. Buzz. Wang Xian waved his arm and the formation disappeared, revealing the worried Firehammer clansmen outside. "Clansmen!" Jinming. Seeing that they had come out safely, the clansmen immediately shouted, "Clansmen, there are some things that I can't tell you right now." The Firehammer clan leader was a little agitated when he saw his clansmen. "But what I want to tell you is that our Firehammer clan is not a lowly clan." As he spoke, an incomparably powerful aura was emitted from his body. What? The aura of the profound void tier caused the surrounding 2,000+ Firehammer clansmen to be instantly stunned. Their eyes were wide open, filled with disbelief. "Clan leader, this is... My God, the profound void tier. Our clan actually has a profound void tier expert." Haha, the clan leader actually became a profound void tier expert. "We are no longer a weak clan." All the members of the Firehammer clan stared at the chief of the Firehammer clan with excitement. "The Gilded Gold clan doesn't treat us badly. Let's finish their work first. We will move out of here tomorrow. We will talk about some things at night." The chief of the Firehammer clan said to everyone. Under the curiosity of the members of the Firehammer clan, they continued to work. Some of the Firehammer tribe members looked at Wang Xian, and their faces were filled with astonishment. "Oh my God, look at Jinming. Jinming's aura is so terrifying." It turns out that Jinming has also reached the insightful emptiness realm. Jinming actually gained 6 more arms. His forging speed is so terrifying. Very soon, everyone's attention fell on Duan Jinming. His strength had reached the insightful void stage, and he had 12 arms. 12 arms forging weapons at the same time, forging 12 weapons at the same time. In just over a minute, all 12 extraordinary level 6 weapons were forged. This terrifying forging speed stunned even Wang Xian. Similarly, the Firehammer clan leader, who had 8 arms, was also extremely fast. This is insane. Even though I have the origin forging technique, I'm still not as fast as them. Forging more than 10 arms at the same time. Even if it's a transcendent level 9 weapon, with Jinming's talent, he can forge 12 in 2 minutes at most. Crazy! Wang Xian's eyes were burning as he looked at all the members of the Firehammer clan. He didn't leave. There were still 2 days left before the king's auction. He would be with the Fiery Hammer clan in these few days. He definitely couldn't let anything happen to these precious subordinates of his. Wang Xian sat at the side and leisurely looked at the waterfall at the side. From time to time, he would look at Duan Jinming and the rest. Initially, it would take them a day to complete the task. However, with the presence of Duan Jinming and the Fiery Hammer clan leader, it was completed very quickly. "What, you want to leave here? I think you're courting death. Our Gilded Gold clan has already treated you well by taking you in. Yet you still want to leave?" In the evening, an angry voice sounded from the front. Chapter 1382. 1382 was shocked by the Gilded Gold clan. Lord, we thank the Gilded Gold clan for taking us in. Near the 10,000-meter mountain peak, in front of the forging rooms, the Firehammer clan leader respectfully stood in front of a middle-aged man dressed in luxurious clothes. Beside the Firehammer clan leader, Duan Jinming stood by the side, his expression somewhat ugly. Firehammer clan, I think you're courting death. If you leave Carefree City, you might become slaves. We took you in, but you still don't know what's good for you. The luxurious middle-aged man stared at them with an ugly expression and said coldly. The Firehammer clan had an extraordinary 8th rank bloodline. Logically speaking, their clan's strength wasn't too weak. They could easily survive in any city. However, their forging techniques were too famous. In addition, they belonged to the demonic beast clan. Many evil forces wanted to control them. There was once when the entire Firehammer clan became slaves. Half of the original 5,000 clansmen died. The Firehammer clan was extremely united. After escaping time and time again, they met the Gilded Gold clan by chance. Although the Gilded Gold clan didn't treat them very well, at least they didn't enslave them. They even gave them some spirit stones, which was considered good. Of course, this was only good compared to their previous life. If it was based on the value of the items they forged, it wasn't worth mentioning at all. Lord, we have already made up our minds. We hope that Lord will fulfill our wish. Today's work has been completed. The Firehammer tribe leader bowed and said again, Duan Yenlai, you have to think carefully. It's not easy for a lowly race to survive outside. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a cold light, and his tone was full of threat. We have already thought it through. I'll tell you one more thing. We are not a lowly race. Duan Jinming stared at the middle-aged man coldly and said loudly, Hee, I can guarantee that the moment you step out of Xiaoyao City, you will immediately become slaves. The middle-aged man stared at Duan Jinming coldly. Who dares? Who dares to make us slaves? The furious Duan Jinming's body instantly surged with the power of the profound void tear. What? You? The luxurious middle-aged man widened his eyes, his expression changing drastically as he stared at Duan Jinming. Let's go, Jinming. Let's pack our things and lead our clansmen away. The Firehammer clan leader tugged at his clothes. Their Firehammer clan was not slaves to begin with, so they could naturally leave freely. Profound void tear expert. That lowly fellow actually became a profound void tear expert. This. He widened his eyes and stared at Duan Jinming's figure with an extremely unsightly expression. This won't do. I must report this matter to the clan head immediately. His expression changed slightly, and he immediately walked towards the Gilded Gold clan's manor. The Firehammer clan was an incomparably cheap labor force to the entire Gilded Gold clan. Although the Firehammer clan was unable to refine high-grade weapons, they were able to perfectly refine transcendent 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade weapons. Moreover, regardless of whether it was the success rate or the degree of refinement, they were all stronger than ordinary blacksmiths. Most importantly, they didn't need to pay much spirit stones. Now that the Firehammer clan had left, it could be considered a considerable loss to the Gilded Gold clan. Also, the matter of that Firehammer clan brought becoming a profound void martial expert had to be reported immediately. The Gilded Gold clan, as a clan whose weapon region was second only to the Lu clan, had a huge manor. In the entire Gilded Gold clan, there were 6 or 7 insightful emptiness realm experts. In the study room of the clan leader, a luxurious middle-aged man hurried over. What did you say? The members of the Fiery Hammer clan are leaving? And a kid from the Fiery Hammer clan has broken through to the insightful emptiness realm? In the study, a middle-aged man dressed in fiery red clothes sat in the middle with a woman beside him. When he heard the report from his subordinate, the middle-aged man dressed in fiery red clothes immediately stood up and shouted with a face full of surprise. Yes, clan head, 100% is a profound void tier powerhouse. That kid, even I can't believe it. The luxurious middle-aged man also reported with a face full of surprise. That kid? You mean that kid called Duan Jinming? The eyes of the gilded gold family's master flickered. That kid's bloodline seems to belong to the phenomenon of atavism. Is it that kid who wants to be a toad and eat swan meat? The woman at the side was also full of astonishment and slightly widened her eyes. It's that kid who wants to pursue third miss. The luxurious middle-aged man immediately nodded. He actually broke through to the insightful emptiness realm. I don't know what kind of opportunity he got. Or is it the power from his bloodline? The middle-aged man of the gilded gold family showed a thoughtful expression. It seems that we have to face that kid properly. Brother Hai, don't tell me you agree with Yen Yen and that kid. No, I told Mrs. Lu some time ago. Mrs. Lu said that their son has a very good impression of Yen Yen and said that he will come to our family to propose marriage. The woman at the side shook her head and quickly said, What, Madam Lu really wants to come to our house to propose marriage? The head of the gilded gold family was slightly stunned and quickly asked expectantly, I can still lie to you. Tonight, I will bring Yen Yen to the Lu residence. This matter will definitely be successful. The woman said with some pride, Haha, good. If we can form a marriage alliance with the Lu residents, our gilded gold family will have no worries in a few 100 years. The gilded gold clan leader laughed happily. He looked at the middle-aged man in front of him and narrowed his eyes slightly. Send someone to follow the Fire Hammer clan first. Yes, clan leader. The luxurious middle-aged man immediately nodded. Isn't that the Fire Hammer Demon Beast clan? What are they doing with so many clansmen? The Fire Hammer Demon Beast clan is very good at refining weapons, but it's a pity that their bloodline is too low. Their powerful talent in refining weapons makes them guilty of possessing treasures. In the past, they were often enslaved. They're just a lowly race. Even if their talent in crafting weapons is strong, they can only craft some low-level weapons at most. In the evening, when Wang Xian and more than 2,000 members of the Fire Hammer clan walked onto the streets, some of the people in the surroundings whispered in astonishment when they saw so many members of the Fire Hammer clan. The Fire Hammer clan could be considered to be somewhat famous. However, the bloodline level of this race was too low, so no one thought highly of them. Humph! It won't be long before we become a powerful clan. The members of the Fire Hammer clan heard the discussions around them. If it was before, they would have completely ignored them. However, when they heard the words of the clan leader and Duan Jinming this evening, their ambitions were aroused. Who said that we are a lowly clan? According to that lord's words, every one of us has the chance to become a powerhouse in the future. This made all the members of the Fire Hammer clan look forward to the day when they could rise up. They would definitely not allow others to call them a lowly race. They would definitely not let others look down on them. Dragon King, it's just up ahead. We have rented a large-scale manor. If the members of our clan squeeze together, they will be able to stay. The Fire Hammer clan leader walked beside Wang Xian and spoke softly. Chapter 1383. 1383. The good-for-nothing disciple. Ao Yao. Send a crafty demon back to the Dragon Palace. Ask Prime Minister Jiuai to send more people over. In a week or two, we will bring our new members back to the Dragon Palace. Wang Xian looked at the temporarily rented manor. A group of Fire Hammer clansmen were packing up their things as they spoke to the void at the side. It's the Dragon King. Ao Yao's voice was heard. The void at the side trembled slightly. The Dragon Palace was still some distance away from here. Fierce beasts were rampant along the way, and the members of the Fire Hammer clan were too weak. It was necessary to have a strong escort. It would be much safer to have around 300 insightful emptiness realm experts to escort them. Dragon King, the shop you want to rent has also been negotiated. I wonder what you are going to do, Dragon King? Our Firehammer clan has lived in Xiaoyao City for dozens of years. We are very familiar with this place, especially the weapons area. After the Firehammer clan leader settled his clansmen, he came to Wang Xian's side and asked respectfully, "There are indeed some things that I need you to handle. I have a batch of weapons here that I need you to handle. There are also some low-level metal materials." As Wang Xian spoke, he took out his interspatial rings one by one. Most of the items that he came to Xiaoyao City to sell were weapons. Wang Xian planned to auction some insightful void-level weapons at the king's auction. However, those that were not at the insightful void level were not eligible to be auctioned. Hence, they had to be sold separately. As Xiaoyao City was a large-scale market, many dynasties came here to purchase things. Even if it was more than 100,000 weapons, they could be sold. This time, there were about 70,000 to 80,000 weapons, staffs, and protective equipment in his interspatial ring. Apart from these weapons, there were also tens of tons of metallic materials. From Transcendent Level 4 to half-step void interpretation, there were many different kinds of materials. As the level of metallic materials was not very high, it would be too troublesome to forge weapons and sell them. Therefore, Wang Xian was prepared to sell these metal materials directly. Good, there are so many items and these materials. Dragon King, it's not worth it to sell the materials directly. We can totally forge them into weapons and sell them later. In that case, we can sell them for at least 5 to 6 times the price. The chief of the Firehammer tribe suggested, "Is there enough time?" Wang Xian looked at him. Naturally, he knew that the value of forging weapons was higher. In the past, if he were to forge weapons by himself, it would take at least 10 days. Wang Xian felt that it was too troublesome, so he did not forge weapons. "It's enough, Dragon King. There are more than 2,000 members of our Firehammer clan. Now that you have taught them the first 2 transformations of the Fire God Dragon transformation, many of our clansmen can break through directly and forge weapons faster." The chief of the Firehammer clan said with a smile on his face. The members of the Firehammer clan had at least 4 arms and could forge 2 weapons at the same time. Their speed was twice that of an ordinary weaponsmith. Someone like Duan Jinming could forge 12 weapons in less than a minute. Their speed and efficiency were even faster than Wang Xian. More than 2,000 people was indeed enough. All right, I'll leave the problem of selling these resources to you. In addition, I have some items here that you can sell. I'll sell some spirit stones. You can buy some things that you need. Don't be stingy and buy whatever you need. Wang Xian passed the rest of the miscellaneous items to the chief of the Firehammer tribe. With his current strength of the first level of the see-through void tier, it wouldn't be dangerous for him to handle these matters. Thank you, Dragon King. In the future, our Firehammer tribe will definitely go through fire and water for you. The chief of the Firehammer clan said respectfully with tears in his eyes as he looked outside. Wang Xian revealed a smile. With the help of the Firehammer clan, it was much easier for him than it was for him. He returned to his room. Wang Xian rested for the night. The next morning, he walked out directly. Dragon King, if you want to enter the king's auction, you need an invitation letter. Not everyone can enter the king's auction. The elder from the Firehammer clan acted as Wang Xian's guide and led him to the king's area in the middle. Compared to the weapons area, the king's area was more glorious. The most prominent thing in the entire area was the gigantic auction. King's auction. There was only one way to enter this auction, an invitation letter. An invitation letter for the king's auction. Those who could receive an invitation letter would be considered top-notch, even if they were placed in a dynasty. There were more than 20 dynasties participating in this auction, and there were 7 to 8 sects that were not weaker than dynasties. Okay. Wang Xian nodded. He had the invitation letter in his hand, and it was given to him by Feng Wan. There were a total of 3 of them. Sir, do you wish to auction the items? If you wish to have the invitation letter, our commission will be reduced by 0.05 points. When he arrived at the auction counter, an old staff member asked Wang Xian, "Auction all the items here." Wang Xian nodded his head. As he spoke, he took out the invitation letter and the auction items. "So you are from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty." When the old man received Wang Xian's invitation letter, a hint of surprise flashed across his eyes. Then he took a look at the auction items and was slightly shocked. "As expected of a powerful empire that has risen recently, I'll give you the auction certificate and your identity certificate. This is a private rune for the auction. After the auction is over, you can use the auction certificate to collect the spirit stones for your auction items." The old man smiled at Wang Xian. "All right, thank you." Wang Xian nodded his head. "Young master, you can take a look at the King's Zone. The items sold here are all very valuable." The old man suggested to him. "Okay." After walking out of the huge and glorious King's Zone, Wang Xian started to stroll around. In the King's Zone, there were many high-grade items besides this auction house. Items above transcendence were sold here. "Let's see if I can buy some good stuff." Wang Xian walked on the streets. The king's territory was not small. There were many shops around the auction house. There were all kinds of weapons and elixirs. All kinds of items were sold, and they were all top grade. A spirit pearl shop? I didn't expect there to be a spirit pearl shop here. Wang Xian revealed a look of surprise and immediately walked into the shop. The moment he stepped into the shop, Wang Xian could feel the impact of the spiritual energy from the spirit pearls of various attributes. In the entire shop, there were hundreds of spirit pearls of various attributes. However, most of them were not of high levels. There was a group of young men and women in the shop. The price is not very expensive. It's very suitable for purchase. The spiritual pearls were of great use to Wang Xian. It could also be used to nurture weapons for his subordinates. It could also be used to allow the 5 elements grinding mill to devour and upgrade. Come, brothers and sisters, this is the unique spiritual pearl shop in our Xiaoyao city. This shop wouldn't be available in other dynasties. At this moment, dozens of young men and women entered the shop from the outside. There were many people in this group, and each of them seemed to have an extraordinary status. Their every movement revealed an extraordinary temperament. Chapter 1384. 1384 Spirit Pearls. I didn't expect there to be so many spirit pearls. There are hundreds of these rare spirit pearls in our dynasty. Wow, as expected of Xiaoyao City. I came to the right place this time. These spirit pearls are so beautiful. Spirit pearls are very beneficial to cultivation. If cultivated with energy, they can also increase the level of the spirit pearls. In the spirit pearl shop, the young men and women looked at the spirit pearls in the shop with pleasant surprise, their eyes shining. Spirit pearls were condensed from elemental energy. They could be made into staffs or pendants. With such a high-level spirit pearl, it could also increase one's cultivation speed. Such an item was rare in any place. Even though these young men and women had extraordinary statuses and came from powerful dynasties and sects, they were still extremely surprised when they saw so many spirit pearls. This is the most special shop in our Xiaoyao city. The owner is a 3rd-level void interpretation expert, and he specially bought it from the 5 elements sea in the Boundless Sea region. It takes a year for the owner to come and go, and there are many dangers along the way. However, everyone knows how precious spirit pearls are. In the middle of the group of young men, a young man wearing dark red clothes and holding a feather fan said with a smile, "So they are spirit pearls from the Hanhai region. No wonder they are so good." The young men and women nodded slightly and looked at the spirit pearls eagerly. "Ladies and gentlemen, see if there are any spirit pearls that you like. Mark the price clearly." When the shopkeeper saw so many young men and women with extraordinary statuses coming over, he immediately asked with a smile, "Shopkeeper, bring that fire spiritual pearl over for me to have a look." That fire spiritual pearl of the first level of the void interpretation is so expensive. It's even more expensive than the weapons of the second level of the void interpretation. I don't have enough spiritual stones. The group of young men and women spoke. "Shopkeeper, how many spiritual pearls do you have here? I want all of them. How many spiritual stones?" Wang Xian glanced at the young men and women around him. He ignored them and asked the shopkeeper directly. Wang Xian's voice rang out in the hall, causing everyone in the shop to look over. Buy all of them. Although the shop of the Spirit Pearl shop is small, the value of the items in it is more than 100 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Buy all of them? Ha ha! The young man who was holding the feather fan glanced at Wang Xian with a hint of disdain in his eyes. HMPH, you sure are arrogant. I can't even afford a spirit pearl of the first level of the void interpretation realm. How can you? A lady who was dressed like a princess curled her lips and said with a hint of disdain, just like how she was dressed, she was a princess of a dynasty. Furthermore, she was the princess that the king of a dynasty doted on the most. What was the concept of hundreds of billions of middle-grade spirit stones? Even if a dynasty's king had to fork out hundreds of billions of spirit stones, he had to think about it. A young man casually said that he would fork out hundreds of billions of spirit stones to buy spirit pearls. This was simply arrogant. Young master, the spirit pearls here are worth more than 130 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Please take a look at what kind of spirit pearls you need. I will get them for you. The shopkeeper looked at Wang Xian and smiled. He didn't think that he could buy all of them. Store them all. Wang Xian moved his arm and threw the interspatial rings to the shopkeeper one by one. The shopkeeper was slightly stunned. A look of astonishment appeared on his face. Then, when he saw the pile of spirit stones in the interspatial ring, he widened his eyes and was filled with shock. This, young master, please wait for a moment. I will pack all the spiritual pearls for you. The shopkeeper's arm trembled as he said hurriedly, Yes, just put them in your interspatial ring. There's no need to go through so much trouble. Wang Xian said directly. He had 7 to 8 trillion middle-grade spiritual stones in his hands. A large portion of them came from the Sky Island Empire and the One-Leaf Mainland Empire. After all, Wang Xian had completely robbed all the families and forces of the two empires. The other portion came from the spirit stones dug out from the deep-sea spiritual spring. The deep-sea spiritual spring had yet to be dug out. There were at least a few trillion middle-grade spirit stones in it. More than 100 billion spirit stones was nothing in Wang Xian's eyes. What? Wang Xian acted like a tycoon, causing all the young men and women around him to be slightly stunned. He really had so many spirit stones. And he even bought all the spirit pearls here. I'm sorry, young masters and young ladies. All the spirit pearls in our shop have been bought by this young master. The shopkeeper looked at the crowd around him and said with a smile. The shopkeeper gestured to the young men who were looking at the spirit pearls. Brother, you've bought all the spirit pearls. What else do we need to buy? I want the spirit pearl in my hand. I'll give you the spirit stones. A young man frowned slightly and said directly to Wang Xian, I'm sorry, I want all the spirit pearls. Wang Xian took a glance at him and sat down at the side. Brother, can you give face to the Northern Spirit Empire and show some love? My sister likes this water spirit pearl very much. A young man raised his eyebrows and looked at Wang Xian when he saw that Wang Xian rejected him directly. Either you buy it all or don't say a word. Wang Xian glanced at them indifferently and said in a slightly disrespectful manner. He even revealed his background. Wang Xian didn't give any face to this kind of royal family. He even directly ignored them in a provocative manner. He wanted all the spirit pearls. If anyone was unhappy, he would be unhappy. If he met 1 or 2 people who were blind, Wang Xian wouldn't mind destroying them. Destroying an empire was Wang Xian's favorite thing. The young man's expression changed slightly. He stared at Wang Xian coldly. Brother, may I know where you are from? The young man holding the feather fan waved his hand, indicating for the others to stop talking. He looked at Wang Xian and asked with a twinkle in his eyes, "The Dragon and Phoenix Empire." Wang Xian crossed his legs and said plainly. His appearance was no different from a good-for-nothing. "The Dragon and Phoenix Empire." When the young men and women around heard Wang Xian's words, their pupils contracted slightly. Is it the newly rising Dragon and Phoenix Empire? The Dragon and Phoenix Empire? It's actually the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. This empire destroyed 4 empires in one go. Moreover, there's the Dongyuan Empire, which is very strong. No wonder. The expressions of the young men and women changed. The way they looked at Wang Xian also changed a lot. Dragon Phoenix Empire. So you're from the Dragon Phoenix Empire. I'm Yao Dingfeng from the Yao clan of Xiaoyao City. Young Master Xiaoyao is holding a banquet for the elites and aristocrats tonight. This brother can come over and make friends. The youth with the feather fan looked at Wang Xian in surprise and invited him. I'm not interested. Wang Xian waved his hand and shook his head in disdain. Chapter 1385. 1385, dressed up as a playboy. Young master, put all the spirit pearls in the interspatial ring. Take a look. In the spirit pearl shop, the shopkeeper handed over the interspatial ring with a respectful expression and said with a smile. He had heard Wang Xian's words clearly just now. He had heard of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. A powerful dynasty that suddenly rose up had only been established for a year. It had destroyed 4 dynasties and occupied all the cities of the 4 dynasties. With the current strength of the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, it was definitely one of the best within 100,000 kilometers. And this young master in front of them had a very high position in the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty. They didn't dare to offend such a force. Okay. Wang Xian nodded his head. He swept his gaze across the spirit pearl in his interspatial ring and nodded his head in satisfaction. Then he walked out directly. The Dragon Phoenix Empire. The elder of the Fire Hammer clan who had been following Wang Xian all this while had a puzzled look in his eyes. This guy is too arrogant. He actually doesn't put us in his eyes at all. Arrogant, he's really arrogant to the extreme. The Dragon Phoenix Empire. If that kid has a very high status in the Dragon Phoenix Empire, he's really not someone we can afford to provoke. This empire destroyed 4 empires in just 10 days. Their influence is extremely terrifying. No wonder he was able to take out more than 100 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Even if he has the ability, young Master Yao invited him to the banquet organized by the young master of Xiaoyao City. Yet, that guy is still so disdainful. He's simply arrogant. That's right. So what if it's the Dragon Phoenix Empire? In front of the young master of Xiaoyao City, it's nothing. Seeing Wang Xianyao leaving without even bothering with them, the young men and women revealed furious expressions. They were all princes and princesses from various big forces. Their statuses were extremely honorable. Now that they were being treated with such contempt by a person, all of them were extremely furious. HMPH, you don't know what's good for you. Yao Dingfeng looked at Wang Xian's back and snorted coldly. His eyes were extremely cold. Go and buy some elixirs. Wang Xian walked out of the spirit pearl shop. The faint aura of a silk pants disappeared instantly. A faint smile appeared on his face. It felt good to be a hedonist disciple. If anyone doesn't like me, fine. Let's attack the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Next, I will continue to act as the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Wang Xian thought as he smiled and walked into the surrounding elixir stores. The spirit stones in his hands were in the trillions. Naturally, he had to exchange them for resources that could be used to increase his strength. Wang Xian did not hesitate at all when he took out all the elixirs of the insightful Void tier. He swept through the 4 elixir stores and spent more than 600 billion middle-grade spirit stones. After a round of purchasing, Wang Xian walked towards the elixir area again. He took out all the elixirs and spiritual herbs one by one. In just a day's time, Wang Xian spent more than 50,000 middle-grade spirit stones. At least 1/5 of the spiritual herbs and elixirs in the entire elixir area were gone. As expected of Xiaoyao City, even with more than 50,000 spiritual stones, it didn't cause much of an impact to this place. Wang Xian sighed slightly when he came out of the elixir area. After returning to the weapons area, Wang Xian walked toward the shop that the Fire Hammer tribe leader rented yesterday. Business is so good. When Wang Xian went over, he noticed that there were many customers lining up outside the shop to buy weapons. TSK, I really didn't expect the Fire Hammer tribe to open a shop. Moreover, the quality of the weapons inside are pretty good. I heard from the Fire Hammer tribe that they are no longer in the Gilded Gold tribe. Aren't they afraid that without their protection, some factions will capture them and make them slaves? I guess many forces are waiting for the Fire Hammer clan to leave the city. Once they leave the city, I guess some forces will make a move. Who cares? We are buying our weapons. It has nothing to do with us. When he arrived at the entrance of the shop, Wang Xian heard the discussions of some customers around him. They didn't have any scruples. They even said the same thing in front of the members of the Fire Hammer clan. The members of the Fire Hammer clan ignored them and focused on selling their weapons. After the king's auction ends tomorrow, I will raise Duan Jinming's strength to the 3rd level of the see-through void stage. Before I leave, I must let them experience what the Fire Hammer clan is like. Their subordinates are not people who can be underestimated by just a few people. Wang Xian thought to himself. He was very satisfied with the speed at which the weapons were being sold. Although the Fire Hammer clan was weak, their craftsmanship was well known. It was already night when he returned to his residence. When Wang Xian reached the door, he saw Duan Jinming, who was dressed neatly, walking out excitedly. As he walked, he was holding a communication stone plate and giggling foolishly. Jinming, why aren't you here to greet the Dragon King? The old man who had been following Wang Xian for the whole day said sternly when he saw the silly look on Duan Jinming's face. Oh, 3rd Grandpa, Dragon King, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Upon hearing the old man's voice, Duan Jinming hurriedly raised his head. When he saw Wang Xian, he said in a panic, No need. Jinming, what made you so happy? Wang Xian asked with a smile on his face. He, Dragon King, this. I'll go and look for the 3rd lady. Duan Jinming scratched his head and revealed an honest smile on his face. Go on. In a few days, I'll bring you to the Gilded Gold family to propose a marriage. Wang Xian said to Duan Jinming with a smile on his face. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Long Wang. Duan Jinming, who was nearly 2 meters tall, thanked him immediately. Oh, right. I will bring you to the king's auction house tomorrow to see the world. Wang Xian continued to speak to Duan Jinming. Oh, yes. Thank you, Dragon King. Duan Jinming thanked him immediately. His eyes were filled with joy. His strength had reached the 1st level of the see-through void stage. He would be able to be together with the 3rd lady in the future. In the end, he would be able to follow such a boss. This was something that he never dared to imagine in the past. Wang Xian smiled. As one of the pillars of the future members of the Dragon Palace, Duan Jinming naturally could not treat his subordinates poorly. Dragon King, you are so good to Jinming. This child is really lucky. We are really lucky to have met you, Dragon King. The old man beside him sighed. Wang Xian smiled. In the future, the Firehammer clan will become an existence beyond your imagination. Dragon King. After returning to his residence, the Firehammer clan leader walked over and greeted him respectfully. Come in. Wang Xian was sipping his tea and checking some information through the communication stone tray. Dragon King, we sold a total of 5,000 weapons today. After we bought some supplies, the rest of the spirit stones are all here. The chief of the Firehammer clan respectfully handed over an interspatial ring. Chapter 1386. 1386, young city lord. I'll leave the spirit stones with you for now. Use these spirit stones to buy all kinds of metal materials. In the future, we will open a weapons store. Also, take out half of the spirit stones and buy some elixirs to increase the strength of your Firehammer clan. Wang Xian didn't take the interspatial ring and said to the Firehammer clan leader, Thank you, Dragon King. These few days are the 5-year king auction period. At the same time, it is also the time for the major forces to purchase all kinds of items. The weapons in our hands can only be sold for 3 days at most. If we can meet some dynasties to purchase them, we might not be able to last a day. We can totally use the spirit stones we earn to purchase the materials and continue to sell them. If we do this repeatedly, we will be able to earn even more profits. Furthermore, Jin Ming and I are already able to forge void interpretation weapons. The chief of the Firehammer clan said to Wang Xian with a smile on his face. Yes, that's fine. You guys can make your own arrangements. I will bring Jin Ming to participate in the king's auction tomorrow. Wang Xian nodded and said to the chief of the Firehammer clan, It's the Dragon King. The chief of the Firehammer clan bowed and walked out. After a night's rest, Wang Xian was awakened by the sound of forging in the morning. He walked out of the room and looked around with a smile on his face. The members of the Firehammer clan were forging weapons one by one. Due to the transformation of the fire god dragon, everyone's spirit, energy, and spirit had undergone a huge change. In addition, the clothes on their bodies had improved a little. They were wearing new clothes with a Firehammer pattern on the back. It was completely different from the pitch-black clothes that Wang Xian had when he first met them. Now, the blazing flames on their bodies had a hint of a smile on their faces. A faint aura emanated from their bodies. Dragon King. After eating some food, Duan Jinming came to Wang Xian's side and shouted respectfully, Let's go. The auction is about to begin. Wang Xian nodded and led Ao Jian, Ao Yao, and the rest to the king's auction house in a beast carriage. There are so many people. There are simply too many of them. Furthermore, there are so many void interpretation experts here. When they arrived at the king's area in the middle, Duan Jinming scanned his surroundings with a look of astonishment. There were many luxurious cars pulled by powerful, ferocious beasts. Among them, there were many void interpretation level ferocious beasts pulling the cars. There were also many people riding on void interpretation level ferocious beasts. Each and every one of them exuded a noble aura. There were also many powerhouses from powerful sects who were dressed in uniform. The entire king's region was bustling with activity. After staying here for such a long time, don't you know about this grand scene? Wang Xian looked at the surprised Duan Jinming and asked with a smile, No, these few days are also the busiest time for us. Moreover, we are not qualified to enter the king's region. Duan Jinming smiled and scanned his surroundings in surprise. We're here. Let's get off. Wang Xian patted Duan Jinming's arm and said faintly, Yes, yes. Duan Jinming nodded immediately and followed behind him. The carriage stopped not far from the king's auction house. There were many grand teams around them. Void interpretation experts could be seen everywhere. At least 1,000 people were walking towards the king's auction house. The Firehammer clan? Why are the Fire Hammer clan here? Wang Xian and the rest followed the crowd and walked in slowly. Suddenly, a surprised voice came from the side. Duan Jinming frowned and turned his head. He saw more than a dozen people looking at him. The one who spoke was a young man. At this moment, the young man was looking at Duan Jinming with a face full of surprise. He looked at the emblem of the Fire Hammer clan on the back of his clothes. Why can't you come here? Duan Jinming whispered and turned his head away. He, a lowly clan. This is not a place that you can come to. Shut up. Be careful not to bring disaster to your own clan. As the young man continued speaking, Wang Xian turned his head around and said coldly, Huh. When the dozen of people beside the young man heard Wang Xian's words, their faces turned cold immediately. Ao Jian and the other 3 golden swordfish stared at them coldly, causing everyone to feel their breathing stagnating. The young man's face turned red as he opened his mouth. He wanted to speak, but was stopped by a middle-aged man beside him. I'm sorry for offending you, young master. A middle-aged man cupped his hands at Wang Xian and looked at Ao Jian and the rest with some fear. Mind your own business. You have no manners. Wang Xian looked at the middle-aged man indifferently and said directly. This caused the middle-aged man's face to darken slightly, and he snorted softly. It's the young master of Xiaoyao City. The young master of Xiaoyao City is here. The young master of Xiaoyao City Master has the strength of a half-step to the peak of the void interpretation realm at such a young age. He can break through to the void interpretation realm at any time. Yesterday, the young mayor invited many of the younger generation to attend the gathering. It's a pity that Bear wasn't able to participate. At this moment, sounds of exclamations could be heard from the surroundings. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows and looked towards the back. A young man with long hair and a proud expression, dressed in white clothes and with the word Xiaoyao written on his chest, walked straight towards the king's auction house. Around him were 40 to 50 young men and women. There were the disciples of the families in Xiaoyao City, as well as some princes and princesses from other dynasties. A group of proud young men followed behind the young castellan with smiles on their faces. Each and every one of them had a proud look on their faces. Third Miss is here too. At this moment, an excited voice came from beside Wang Xian. Wang Xian looked over and saw that Duan Jinming was looking at the back of the group of young men and women. A dignified and beautiful woman was following behind. It was the third miss of the Gilded Gold family. Third miss. When the third miss of the Gilded Gold family came to the side not far away, Duan Jinming could not help but call out in a low voice. Just when Gilded Gold Yen was feeling a little annoyed following behind, he suddenly heard a familiar voice. She was slightly stunned and quickly looked over, a hint of surprise on her face. She hesitated for a moment, then walked towards Duan Jinming with a slightly red face. Huh. The men and women next to her were slightly stunned. Her elder sister and second brother's expressions changed slightly. Xiao Yan, what are you going to do? The two of them stopped walking with a dark face. A young man in water blue clothing at the side raised his eyebrows and slightly raised his head. He also stopped, walking with displeasure in his eyes. It's that guy. Beside the young man in aqua blue, Yao Dingfeng, who was holding a feather fan, narrowed his eyes and also stopped walking. Big sister, second brother, we met a friend. Eugene Yen turned around and looked at his big sister and second brother, whose faces were cold. His expression was a bit ugly. Don't interact with some random people. Let's go. The two of them looked at him and said with sullen faces. Chapter 1387. 1380, Seven Dragon, and Phoenix, Dynasty's reputation. Eldest sister, second brother, I don't want you to meddle in my affairs. When she heard her eldest sister and second brother berating her, her expression turned cold. In the past, because she was afraid that her parents would stop her, her eldest sister and second brother often berated her not to get close to Duan Jinming. But now, when she found out that Duan Jinming's strength had reached the first level of the insightful void tier and that he was going to go to her house in a few days to propose a betrothal gift, she was incomparably happy. With his current status, he was completely worthy of her. This also gave her a lot more confidence to fight back. What's going on? At that moment, a young man dressed in aqua blue walked over and asked with an expressionless face. She glanced at the young man, pursed her lips, and did not speak. Young Master Lu, it's nothing. It's just that this little sister of mine has a problem with her brain. Upon hearing her words, the eldest sister and second brother of gilded speech also revealed an angry expression. Upon hearing the young man's question, they hurriedly said with an embarrassed expression, "Look at that lowly brat. Look at young Master Lu. Although young Master Lu doesn't fancy you, even if you become young Master Lu's concubine, it's still better than being with that lowly brat. Moreover, your parents won't." Big sister and second brother, shut up. Jin Ming isn't a lowly brat. As the two continued to speak, Gilded Gold Yen interrupted them angrily. "Let me tell you, I'm not a lowly brat. Watch your words." When Duan Jinming heard the two of them talking about him like that and saw Gilded Gold Yan's aggrieved look, he stood up and said angrily, "You." Jin Yan's eldest sister and second brother saw that Duan Jinming was staring at them with a cold and disdainful look. The water blue youth raised his eyebrows and a faint coldness flashed across his eyes. He looked at Jin Yan and then at Duan Jinming. These few days his mother had been blowing wind in his ear and asking how the third daughter of the Jin family was doing. He had a pretty good impression of Gilded Gold Yen, but he knew what his mother wanted. She wanted him to get married and have children. He hadn't had enough fun yet, so he naturally didn't agree. Now that he saw that Gilded Gold Yen had a deep relationship with a lowly demonic beast, he was slightly displeased. "I didn't expect Gilded Gold Yen to behave so atrociously. You don't know what's going on with a lowly demonic beast, hee." Lu Shao's eyes were cold as he mocked. "You are the one who is rude. I'm warning you, watch your words." When Duan Jinming heard that Lu Shao dared to say that he was rude to a lowly demonic beast, he glared at him angrily. "A lowly demonic beast. You are the one who should watch your words." Lu Shao saw Duan Jinming, who was 2 meters tall, staring at him angrily with his eyes wide open. His face turned cold, and a trace of killing intent was emitted without any concealment. "If you say that I am a lowly demonic beast, then who do you think you are?" Duan Jinming's body instantly emitted a profound void level pressure, and a powerful aura directly charged toward young Master Lu. "What?" The profound void level aura charged over. Young Master Lu's face instantly changed, and he stared at Duan Jinming with a face full of fear. Under his aura, his body slightly trembled. "What? How is this possible? This aura, an insightful emptiness realm expert." Lu Jinyan's eldest sister and second brother were also shocked, and they stared at Duan Jinming in disbelief. Duan Jinming had the strength of the first level of the insightful emptiness realm. Only his parents and a clansman knew about it, but the two of them did not know. Looking at the terrifying aura that Duan Jinming suddenly erupted with, the two of them had faces full of disbelief. This lowly race, this lowly fellow, how could he be an expert at the profound void tier? Duan Jinming's age was about the same as theirs, but now he had actually reached the profound void tier. He was simply a monster. Entering the profound void tier meant entering the ranks of experts. He was an expert that stood high above. First level of the profound void tier. You're actually at the first level of the profound void tier. However, don't think that you can be arrogant just because you're an expert at the profound void tier. My Lu family Killing an expert at the first level of the profound void tier is a piece of cake. Lu Xiao growled in a low voice with an extremely embarrassed expression. Do you believe that I can easily destroy your Lu family? Wang Xian, who had been watching from the side, narrowed his eyes slightly when he heard Lu Xiao's words. He took a step forward and said indifferently, "Who didn't have a force?" Duan Jinming had the entire dragon palace behind him. King. When Duan Jinming heard Wang Xian's words, he immediately turned his head and shouted respectfully and gratefully, "Annihilate my Lu family." This is the first time I've heard of someone daring to annihilate my Lu family, kit. Young master, you annihilated the Lu family with just a single word. Do you really think that your dragon and phoenix empire is invincible? We belong to Xiaoyao City. Your dragon and phoenix empire is nothing in front of the mayor of Xiaoyao City. At this moment, when Lu Xiao heard Wang Xian's words, he was interrupted by Yao Dingfeng, who was standing beside him before he could even speak. The dragon and phoenix empire. Lu Xiao was slightly stunned when he heard his good brother's words. He was shocked as he stared at Wang Xian. Yesterday, they heard Yao Dingfeng and the rest talking about the dragon and phoenix empire. They knew a little about the power of this empire. To destroy 4 empires at the same time, this empire had at least 5 experts at the 4th level of the void interpretation stage. Within a radius of 100,000 kilometers, it was definitely the strongest empire. This empire was not something the Lu family could fight against. His face was gloomy and his eyes were filled with astonishment. Duan Jinming is my brother and my subordinate. If you dare to attack him, I dare to attack you. Wang Xian looked at them and said proudly, "You are arrogant. This is Xiaoyao City, not your dragon and phoenix empire." Lu Xiao gritted his teeth in embarrassment when he heard his words. I have to say, this brother is really arrogant. Yao Dingfeng looked at Wang Xian coldly from the side and looked at Lu Xiao. "Xiaohua, let's go." Lu Xiao glanced at Wang Xian, Duan Jinming, and the rest in a shady manner. He didn't say anything else and turned around to walk inside. A person who was even more powerful than them would only make them feel even more humiliated here. Gilded Speech, you. The 2 eldest and second brothers of Gilded Speech wanted to scold her. However, when they felt Duan Jinming's furious gaze and Wang Xian's indifferent expression, they didn't dare to say anything in the end. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire was a newly rising and powerful empire. Their strength was many times stronger than the Lu clan, a powerful empire that controlled more than 60 cities. Even Duan Jinming was an expert at the first level of the profound void tier. He was not someone they could berate casually. They clenched their fists and angrily turned around to chase after young Master Lu and the others. Jinming, I'll go over too. After all, they're my older brothers and sisters. I'll explain it to them. Don't be angry. Seeing young Master Lu and the others leave in anger, Gilded Jinyan also knew that he had caused trouble, so he said to Duan Jinming, "Yes, third miss, you can go. In a few days, we will go to your house to propose marriage." Duan Jinming promised. This caused a smile to appear on Gilded Jinyan's face. He nodded his head at him and left with a smile. "That's right. A man should have the manliness of a man. Don't be afraid. I'm here for everything." Wang Xian saw Duan Jinming's behavior and patted his shoulder. He smiled and said, "Thank you, Dragon King. Sorry for the trouble." Duan Jinming grinned and said with a smile, "Let's go in." Wang Xian shook his head and walked straight in. This, a kid from the Firehammer clan, has actually reached the insightful emptiness realm. How is this possible? And that young man, he is actually from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire. Oh my God, this newly risen Dragon and Phoenix Empire is extremely powerful. At the rear, the clan that had mocked the Firehammer clan widened their eyes filled with fear. Chapter 1388 1000 388 1388. Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty. Damn it, that damn guy, how dare he be so arrogant? In the huge king's auction house, young Master Lu and Yao Dingfeng walked forward with embarrassed expressions. Young Master Lu's face was especially gloomy. A lowly demonic beast dared to be arrogant in front of him, and he even had the support of that guy from the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty. He even wanted to exterminate their Lu clan. This made him extremely furious. Young Master Lu, don't be angry. This matter is all the fault of my insensible sister. At this moment, elder sister and second brother, who were chasing after them, said in a fawning manner, "Scram!" Young Master Lu heard their figures and roared in a low voice without turning his head. This caused the expression of elder sister and second brother to stiffen, and they were filled with embarrassment. "Young Master Lu, we apologize to you. When that girl Xiaoyan comes later, I'll let her apologize to you." The two of them squeezed out a smile and followed behind. "Hee, your gilded gold clan's taste is really—" As young Master Lu spoke, he suddenly stopped. He slightly narrowed his eyes, and a trace of coldness appeared in his eyes. "Your third sister, Miss Gilded Gold, Yen is quite good." He lowered his voice and said slowly with a profound meaning, "Huh." The two of them were slightly stunned when they heard young Master Lu's words. Their faces revealed a stunned expression. "Miss Gilded Yen is here." Young Master Lu saw Gilded Yen, who followed behind him, and smiled faintly. He turned around and continued to walk towards his seat. "Huh. Xiaohua, what are you doing?" Yao Dingfeng, who was at the side, also came over in slight surprise and asked in a low voice, "It's nothing. I just suddenly feel that I'm not young anymore. Just take a concubine." Young Master Lu said with a smile, You haha tall. Yao Dingfeng laughed and walked forward with his arm around young Master Lu's shoulder. The group of people came to a pavilion where the young city, Lord of Xiaoyao City, and some noble disciples were all present. Everyone from the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty, your seats are over here. The entire king's auction house was huge, and its interior was completely different from ordinary auction houses. Inside, there were fake mountains and fake water and small pavilions. Many people could sit under the pavilions, and exquisite food was placed on top. In the center, there was a high platform, and above the high platform was the auction seat. The surrounding guests were seated around the platform. The entire auction hall could seat around 10,000 people. 10,000 people was not a huge number. However, the level of extravagance was definitely the best in the Luhai region. "Everyone, this is your seat. There are staff beside you. If you need anything, feel free to ask." The staff brought Wang Xian and the rest to a spot that was closer to the center. As the current rising overlord dynasty, the Dragon and Phoenix Dynasty, was qualified to be in a position that was closer to the front desk. Moreover, the value of the items auctioned by Wang Xian this time was also very terrifying. "All right." Wang Xian nodded and sat in the main seat. He gestured for Ao Jian, Duan Jinming, and the rest to sit at the side. Duan Jinming looked left and right. His gaze shifted to a spot not far away. His gaze landed on the golden words again, and a smile appeared on his face. It was his first time coming to such a luxurious place. It was his first time being served with respect. Wang Xian scanned his surroundings. Each pavilion represented a powerful force. That's right. Wang Xian looked at the seat in front of him and saw a group of dozens of young men and women sitting together. They were chatting with smiles on their faces. These were the second generation of the richest people in the vicinity. The princes and princesses of the dynasty, the heirs of the top forces, and so on. The 20th King's Auction will be held soon. This is also the 100th year that our King's Auction will be held. For the items to be auctioned today, all the powerhouses and lords must be prepared. Not long after, a woman who still had her charm came to the central auction area. She spoke to everyone around her with a smile on her face. The first item to be auctioned is a third-level insightful emptiness realm magic staff with a fire attribute. The starting price is 10 billion middle-grade spirit stones. The auction did not take long to start. The first item to be auctioned was a third-level insightful emptiness realm magic staff with a high price. This seems to be the magic staff that I sent to auction. Wang Xian smiled when he saw the weapon that was brought up. The starting price for a third-level insightful void stage staff was 10 billion middle-grade spirit stones. The starting price was not high, but the increase in the competition was relatively high. 15 billion. 16 billion. One by one, the forces began to bid. Soon, the price reached 21 billion. The final price also dropped to 21 billion. The second item was a piece of armor. There were more than 30 larger forces, dozens of second-level forces, and itinerant cultivators present. Wang Xian glanced around and saw that there were about 300 insightful emptiness realm experts. Basically, most of the insightful emptiness realm experts who came to Xiaoyao City were gathered here. With so many experts, the total amount of spirit stones in their hands amounted to at least tens of trillion middle-grade spirit stones. After all, the value of the items in each auction was no less than 10 trillion. The next item to be auctioned is a set of elixirs that can help improve one's comprehension and clear one's mind. The elixirs are of extraordinary 9th grade, and each of them is worth 50 million middle-grade spirit stones. There are a total of 3,000 of them. The starting bid will be 1,000 to 1,000 of them. The first set will be 1,000 of them. The starting bid will be 50 billion middle-grade spirit stones. After auctioning more than a dozen items consecutively, one item caught Wang Xian's attention. It was a medicinal pill. Furthermore, it was an extraordinary 9th grade medicinal pill. Naturally, he would swallow it directly and turn it into dragon qi. After Wang Xian's calculations, buying a high-grade medicinal pill at the same price would be more than buying many low-grade medicinal pills that would turn into dragon qi. For this auction, Wang Xian was prepared to buy all the medicinal pills in the auction. 51 billion. Wang Xian raised the bid directly. Qingming elixir. This is a good elixir to nurture strong people. 1,000 pieces of 50 billion are not expensive. Some of the dynasties and sects around looked at the elixirs on the stage and followed suit. 51, 5 billion. 52 billion. 52, 5 billion. 3 factions called out their bids consecutively and raised the sign next to them. 55 billion. Directly increasing the bid by 2. 5 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Which faction is this? Those who can sit at the front are all top-notch factions. However, I have never seen that young man before. When the surrounding factions saw Wang Xian increasing the bid by 55 billion, they were astonished. Some of them looked over and discussed among themselves with a hint of curiosity on their faces. That is, however, at a spot not far from the center, a middle-aged man stood up abruptly when he saw Wang Xian. He widened his eyes and stared at Wang Xian in disbelief. He is the nameless sword demon, the supreme heaven's pride expert, and a peerless powerhouse at the 5th level of the see-through realm. Chapter 1389. 1389. 1389. Why is he here? Why is he here? This. In front of a pavilion near the central auction stage, a middle-aged man stood up and stared at Wang Xian with a trembling body. He never expected to encounter such a legendary existence in this place. The last time he saw Wang Xian was during the selection of the crown prince of the Guanglong dynasty. The battle that day had shaken the entire demi-human graveyard. Only after witnessing the terrifying strength of the nameless sword demon did he know what was terrifying. An old monster at the 5th level of the see-through realm who had lived for thousands of years was killed directly. That terrifying millstone could easily wipe out an entire empire. 13th brother, what's wrong? Beside the middle-aged man, a middle-aged man with a beard and wearing a wide robe who was sitting in the middle saw the shocked expression on his brother's face. He raised his eyebrows and asked curiously. This 13th brother of his had stayed in a cruel place like the demi-human graveyard for a long time. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be so excited. Big brother, it's that person. He swallowed his saliva, his eyes still filled with shock. 13th uncle, slow down. What made you so shocked? The youth sitting beside the wide-robed, middle-aged man asked curiously, Big brother, do you know the nameless sword demon? The supreme prodigy? The evildoer who destroyed the 5th-level ice child of the void interpretation stage? The middle-aged man gulped and said to the middle-aged man in the robe, Yes, you told me about this before. Could it be? The middle-aged man in the robe was also slightly surprised. His eyes were sparkling. He is there. The middle-aged man widened his eyes and pointed at Wang Xian. What? The middle-aged man quickly turned his head and fixed his gaze on Wang Xian. 13th brother, is what you said true? The middle-aged man asked with a trembling figure. I'm sure. I'm 100% sure that it's him. It's definitely him. The middle-aged man said with certainty. The expression of the middle-aged man changed drastically. A terrifying powerhouse who could kill a 5th-level, insightful void martial artist could completely change the order of the entire region. The reason why Xiaoyao City was so powerful here was because of the 5th-level profound void martial artist, Xiaoyao City Lord. Investigate the faction that Lord is from and think of a way to curry favor with him. The wide-robed, middle-aged man said directly. The youth sitting at the side widened his eyes. He's so young, and he's actually a terrifying expert. It's Big Brother. Congratulations to everyone from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty for obtaining the first batch of green nether pills. At this moment, the auctioneer's voice sounded from the stage. Dragon Phoenix Empire. The middle-aged man in the robe was slightly shocked as he looked into the middle-aged man's eyes with a hint of solemnity. If an empire wanted to become stronger, it had to expand. If it wanted to expand, it had to conquer other empires. If I remember correctly, the Dragon Phoenix Empire destroyed 4 empires not long after the nameless sword demon left. The middle-aged man gulped as his eyes flickered. They were a powerful sect, and their influence was much stronger than ordinary dynasties. Within the sect, there were 3 or 4 profound void tier 4 experts, but compared to nameless sword demon, they were still far from it. Be friendly. Sects and dynasties are not irreconcilable, the wide-robed, middle-aged man decided. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty is actually the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. So they are actually from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. No wonder they are able to sit so close to the front. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty is very strong. When the surrounding factions heard the auctioneer's voice, they looked at Wang Xian and the rest in astonishment. The Dragon Phoenix dynasty, the one that has risen recently. At this moment, under a pavilion closest to the central auction stage, the young city lord in white looked over curiously. Yes, it's a newly risen empire. I heard that this empire is a queen and is very strong. It should be the strongest among the neighboring empires. Our empire is far from that. A lady sitting beside the young city lord said with a smile. Is that so, Chenying? But with me around in the future, your Jin Liang dynasty will become stronger and stronger. The young city lord narrowed his eyes and looked at the woman in front of him greedily. Hee, then I'll thank you, young city lord. The woman said to him with a smile. Young city lord, this guy from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is extremely arrogant. Yesterday I invited him to the banquet, and he said he wasn't interested. Humph, he's very arrogant. At this moment, Yao Dingfeng and Lu Xiaohua, who were not far away, came over and said angrily, "Oh, really? Don't mind him." The young city lord smiled faintly and did not take it to heart. It could be said that he did not take the dragon and phoenix dynasty seriously. If the young city lord had spoken, he would not have refused. The woman at the side leaned closer to the young city lord's side, and the huge Xiong division leaned on his body. That's natural. Even if he had 4 or 5 guts, he wouldn't dare to be impudent with the young city lord. The two saw that the young city lord didn't put the dragon and phoenix empire in his eyes at all, so they didn't say anything else and just smiled and nodded. "Qianying, what do you want? I'll buy it for you later." The young city lord smiled and put his arm around the woman's shoulder as he asked with a smile, "Really? Then I won't stand on ceremony with you, young city lord. I heard that this water pearl can beautify one's appearance, The woman said happily, right. I'll buy it for you later." The young city lord laughed out loud with a big smile on his face. Around them, some of the ladies looked at the lady enviously. The second batch of green nether pills. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire is offering 57 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Is there anyone else who wants to raise the bid? The second batch of green nether pills began to be sold. When Wang Xian continued to bid, the two factions gave up after competing for a while. Congratulations to everyone from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire for obtaining the second batch of green nether pills. The third batch will still be auctioned off at 50 billion middle-grade spirit stones. 55 billion middle-grade spirit stones. Wang Xian raised his hand and raised it to 55 billion. The Dragon and Phoenix Empire is really rich. That's right. They must have destroyed 4 empires. A few 100 billion might be an easy feat for them. It seems like he can't compete with all the pills he wants. Forget it. After Wang Xian continued to bid, some of the forces around him shook their heads slowly. Wang Xian was allowed to buy all 3 sets of elixirs in a row. The next items to be auctioned were some other items. Wang Xian did not bid for them either. The next item to be auctioned is the water element cultivator. Please take note that this is a treasure. It is a water bead, an item at the first level of the void interpretation stage. It is similar to the water spirit bead, but different. Wearing it on one's body can enhance one's beauty. After auctioning off more than 10 items consecutively, another item was taken out. "Oh, right, Jinming, I'll go to propose marriage in 2 days. Have you thought about what you want to take?" Wang Xian looked at the water elemental orb and asked Duan Jinming, who was beside him, Take something. This. Duan Jinming scratched his head. "You have to be smarter when picking up girls." Wang Xian patted his shoulder and said, "Let me prepare the item for you." "Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you." The honest Duan Jinming thanked him immediately. Chapter 1390. 1390 didn't give him any face. It wasn't easy to be the boss now. Wang Xian looked at the water orb on the stage and smiled. It was a marriage proposal. As one of the pillars of the Dragon Palace in the future, Duan Jinming naturally had to be in the limelight. The things that he proposed to get shouldn't be shabby. Wang Xian wouldn't let Duan Jinming lose face either. Regardless of whether you wear this water orb yourself or give it to your wife or daughter, it is definitely the best gift. The starting bid for the water orb of the first level of the void interpretation stage is 5 billion middle grade spirit stones. The auctioneer introduced the item on the stage with a smile. 1 billion medium grade spirit stones. A young man immediately bid. 2 billion medium-grade spirit stones. 3 billion. 4 billion. In an instant, many people started to bid. 6 billion. When the price reached 7 billion, Wang Xian raised the bid to 60. Some of the people around saw Wang Xian's bid and looked over. 7 billion, I want it. However, at this moment, a voice suddenly rang out, raising the price to 7 billion. 7 billion. It's a direct increase of 1 billion middle-grade spirit stones. It's the young city lord. It's the voice of the young city, lord of Xiaoyao City. He's bidding. There's no need for the young city, lord, to make a bid anymore. We have to give the young city, lord, face. Some people stopped when they saw the young city, lord of Xiaoyao City, making a bid. Some people even shouted loudly, "Young city lord, you really have a lot of face." The woman sitting next to the young city lord heard the surrounding voices and said to him with a smile on her face, "Haha, since I have made my move, usually no one would compete with me." The young castellan raised his head slightly and looked around. He stood up slowly and said, "Thank you for giving me this little bit. 5 billion. However, before he could finish his words, Wang Xian raised the auction house in his hand and handed over a number. What? Everyone looked at the young city lord, but was stunned by the sudden voice. All the forces in the king's auction house looked in the direction of the voice in astonishment. The young city lord, who had just stood up, didn't say the last word. His face, which was full of smiles, slowly turned gloomy. He looked in the direction of Wang Xian and narrowed his eyes slightly. This young master from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is bidding for 5 billion. Is there anyone who is willing to bid higher? The auctioneer looked at his young master in a dilemma. However, an auction was an auction. It was impossible for others to not be able to bid once his young master made a bid. This would also make the auctioneer unhappy and affect his reputation. I didn't expect this person from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire to also want this item. All right then, 8 billion. The young city lord had a cold expression on his face as he spoke indifferently. However, everyone present could feel his anger. Is this young man from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire looking for death? How dare he compete with the young city lord? That's right. Moreover, it was when the young city lord had just stood up to express his gratitude. How embarrassing for the young city lord. Some of the surrounding factions were stunned when they saw Wang Xian suddenly bidding for the item. This fellow dared to compete with the young city lord. Was he courting death? Did he really think that he would dare to challenge Xiaoyao City just because he had just risen up and destroyed a few dynasties? This fellow from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty is really courting death. It's good that he is courting death, if he really infuriates the young city lord. Lu Xiaohua and Yao Dingfeng revealed a faint smile when they saw that Wang Xian did not give the young city lord any face. He dares to not give the young city lord any face. Indeed, with his strength, he has the qualifications to do so. Even the mayor of Xiaoyao City would dare to not give him face. The middle-aged man who was not far away from them muttered, 8 billion, then 5 billion. Wang Xian looked at the young city lord who was staring at him. His expression didn't change as he continued to shout. The young castellan froze slightly and said coldly, 9 billion. 10 billion. Wang Xian increased the price by 1 billion immediately. He picked up a teacup beside the table and took a sip gently. He didn't put the young castellan in his eyes at all. All right. Since the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is so rich, I won't earn for you anymore. I will offer you one last price, 11 billion. If you raise the price again, I will withdraw. The young city lord clenched his fists and said coldly. The surrounding forces were slightly shocked when they saw the ultimatum given by the young city lord. If the Dragon and Phoenix Empire dared to raise the price again, they would have completely offended the young city lord of Xiaoyao. This was definitely not a wise choice. Thank you very much then. 11 billion. However, Wang Xian's voice continued to ring out in less than a second. Good. The The young castellan's face turned ashen as he sat down. He picked up the wine cup in front of him and took a big gulp. Then he stared coldly at Wang Xian's position. Is this guy courting death? How dare he offend our young castellan? Damn it, that guy from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is courting death. How dare he be so arrogant in Xiaoyao City? Beside the young castellan, many young men and women saw the young castellan's furious look. Then they looked at Wang Xian's position with cold faces. Young castellan, this guy is not giving you any face. Let's teach him a lesson. The woman beside the young castellan pouted her lips and said angrily with an unpleasant expression, Young castellan, do you want us to? Yao Dingfeng and Lu Xiaohua walked over immediately and whispered. The young castellan raised his head and glanced at them coldly. He said coldly, No one is allowed to cause trouble in Xiaoyao City. Yes, yes, young city lord. Yao Dingfeng and Lu Xiaohua nodded respectfully. Dragon Phoenix Dynasty. The young city lord clenched his fists unwillingly. Xiaoyao City was able to become a trading city within a 100,000-kilometer radius, not only because of his father's powerful strength. It was also because of his neutrality. He did not interfere with the affairs of other dynasties and sects. Furthermore, with his strength, he didn't have the qualifications to deal with a power like the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty, unless his father said that he was going to make a move. But even so, he wasn't willing to accept it. This made him extremely frustrated. Congratulations to everyone from the Dragon and Phoenix dynasty for obtaining the water art bead. On the stage, the auctioneer squeezed out a smile and congratulated. This young man from the Dragon and Phoenix Empire is really a newborn calf, is not afraid of a tiger. This time he has completely offended the young master of Xiaoyao City. Some of the people around were discussing in low voices as they looked over with twinkling eyes. Wang Xian smiled faintly and completely ignored the voices around him. Giving face to the young master of Xiaoyao City? What a joke! In front of him, he was nothing. Even if his father was here, Wang Xian still wouldn't give them any face. In fact, he might even want to provoke them. If the other party wasn't satisfied, he would fight. Chapter 1391. 1391 proposed. Congratulations to the young master of the Dragon Phoenix Empire for bidding 75 billion for the elixirs of the third level of the Void Interpretation Stage. Congratulations to the young master of the Dragon Phoenix Empire for purchasing 100 elixirs of the half-step Void Interpretation Stage with 130 billion. Congratulations to the young master of the Dragon Phoenix Empire for purchasing 2 4th-level Void Interpretation Stage Spirit Trees with 250 billion. Congratulations to the Dragon Phoenix Empire. The auction continued. As long as there were elixirs and spiritual herbs that could enhance the dragon energy, Wang Xian would buy all of them. The young man from the Dragon Phoenix Empire has bought at least 2 trillion middle-grade spirit stones over the past half day. What a big deal, what a big deal. All the elixirs and spiritual herbs have been auctioned off by him. This Dragon Phoenix Empire is simply too rich. Elixirs and spiritual herbs that are worth trillions of middle-grade spiritual stones are really tempting. The day's auction was about to end. 500 to 600 items were auctioned off in a day. However, Wang Xian alone had bought over 20 trillion middle-grade spiritual stones. Some of the forces looked at Wang Xian with envy. There was an indescribable look in their eyes. With so many elixirs and spiritual herbs, many people were willing to take the risk. A few trillion, the entire imperial treasury of their dynasty, only had so many items. Wang Xian saw the hidden greed in the eyes of the people around him. A faint smile appeared on his face. Today's auction ends here. Thank you to all the friends who have come to support us. Our next large-scale auction will be in 5 years. At 7 or 8 o'clock in the evening, the king's auction ended. Young master, This is the item you sent for auction. After deducting the spiritual stones you spent and the service fees, the rest of the spiritual stones are all here." A staff member walked over and handed the item to Wang Xian. He said with a smile on his face. Wang Xian nodded his head faintly and checked the spiritual stones inside. "That's great. Let's go," Wang Xian said to Ao Jian, Duan Jinming, and the rest. Then he walked out with a smile on his face. His harvest today was not bad. I didn't expect this guy to have so many spiritual stones. Help me check what he has done in the 2 days since he came to Xiaoyao City. At the back, an old man stood beside the cold-faced young castellan. He stared at Wang Xian's figure with a twinkle in his eyes and said softly, "It's the young castellan. I will send all the information to you soon." The old man nodded respectfully. Under the watchful eyes of some people, Wang Xian and the rest rode the carriage towards the weapons area. Along the way, he swallowed all the elixirs and gained about 500 million dragon crystals. "Duan Jinming, I will raise your strength by another level." Halfway through, Wang Xian raised Duan Jinming's strength by another level. Now that Duan Jinming had the strength of a second-level void interpretation, he could definitely fight against a third-level void interpretation. Even though he wasn't a dragon that was good at fighting, it was still easy for him to fight against a dragon that was a level higher. This made Duan Jinming very excited. When he returned to his residence, it was already dark. Wang Xian returned to his room and continued to rest. The next day, he didn't go out. The members of the Firehammer clan were dealing with weapons one by one. At the same time, they used the spirit stones they earned to purchase some metals to forge weapons and continue to sell them. With the Firehammer clan's smithing ability, it was a complete windfall. In these 2 consecutive days, the Firehammer clan made a name for themselves in the weapons district. On the first day, a mercenary group was causing trouble at the entrance of the Firehammer shop, and Duan Jinming happened to see them. He used his powerful presence to suppress the troublemakers. The strength that Duan Jinming displayed at the insightful Void Tier shocked everyone. The sudden appearance of an insightful Void Tier powerhouse from a lowly demonic beast clan shocked many people. A faction with a profound Void stage expert and a faction without a profound Void stage expert were 2 completely different concepts. Even if the Firehammer clan only had 1 profound Void stage expert, Duan Jinming, it could still be considered a pretty good demonic beast race. Those who dared to look down on the Firehammer clan would have to consider it carefully. The formidable strength displayed by Duan Jinming caused the Firehammer shop to become popular. One after another, they received a few big orders. It could be said that they had made quite a name for themselves in the entire weapons district. Dragon King, Ao Qitian, and the rest will arrive at Xiaoyao City in a few hours. On the 4th day, Ao Yao appeared beside Wang Xian and spoke to him. "Are they here?" Wang Xian nodded his head slowly. "Let's go to the location of the shop." As he spoke, he walked straight to the location of the Firehammer shop. It was time to leave after settling the matter with Duan Jinming and the rest. I really didn't expect the Firehammer demonic beast clan to be able to reach such a level in just a few days. The business of the various big shops in the weapons district isn't better than theirs, right? I heard that the Firehammer demonic beast clan has a powerful force supporting them. When Wang Xian arrived at the Firehammer shop, he heard exclamations coming from the surroundings. This kind of voice was completely different from the first day when the shop opened. In front of the shop, a few members of the Firehammer clan received customers one after another happily. Dragon King, Duan Jinming, and the Firehammer clan leader, who were in the shop, walked over with smiles on their faces. "Close the shop and get ready. I will bring Jinming to propose a marriage. After that, we will leave this place," Wang Xian said to Duan Jinming with a smile on his face. "Propose a marriage?" Duan Jinming was slightly taken aback. Soon after, an excited expression appeared on his face. Dragon King, shall we go now? Duan Yen Lai, have you prepared everything that I asked you to prepare yesterday? Wang Xian smiled and looked at the chief of the Fire Hammer tribe. Dragon King, everything has been prepared. It is placed at the back of the shop. Are we going now? The chief of the Fire Hammer tribe was slightly taken aback as well. He said with a smile on his face, Yes, I will bring all of you out of Xiaoyao City in the next 2 days. Settle the matter regarding Jin Ming first. We must do it in a glorious manner. Wang Xian nodded his head. Thank you, Dragon King. Thank you, Dragon King. I will tell my clansmen to prepare now. This time, our Fire Hammer clan will be leaving soon. Before we leave, we must do it in a glorious manner. The Fire Hammer clan leader said excitedly as he walked to the side. Dragon King, I will go and prepare as well. Duan Jinming also walked to the side excitedly. Hey, what's going on? Why are the Fire Hammer clan's shops closed? Yes, what's going on? Well, why did they bring these festive carriages? In less than 10 minutes, some people around them said in surprise. They looked at the weapons shop of the Fire Hammer clan, which had closed in the morning, and frowned slightly. Members of the Fire Hammer clan, what are you going to do? Why is the shop closed? A customer frowned and asked a member of the Fire Hammer clan. It's closed. Today, the future chief of the Fire Hammer clan will go to the Gilded Gold clan to propose marriage. The member of the Fire Hammer clan said with a smile. What, propose marriage? Go to the Gilded Gold clan to propose marriage? Everyone around was slightly stunned. Chapter 1392 1392 Proposing Marriage. The young, insightful Emptiness Realm expert of the Fire Hammer clan is going to propose marriage to the Gilded Gold clan. It is said that when the Fire Hammer clan was in the Gilded Gold clan, the mutated Duan Jinming and the third young miss of the Gilded Gold clan had a crush on each other. I didn't expect that they would propose marriage today. Could this be considered as a successful counterattack? Who would have thought that Duan Jinming's bloodline would actually return to its ancestor, now that he has directly advanced to the first level of the insightful Emptiness Realm? It is more than enough for him to propose marriage to the Gilded Gold clan. The current Fire Hammer clan can be considered to have made a comeback. With the protection of a profound Void tier expert, they are no longer something that ordinary factions can bully. At the entrance of the Fire Hammer shop, when the shop's door closed and 2 horse carriages stopped at the entrance, dozens of members of the Fire Hammer clan stood around the horse carriages. The surrounding customers and passers-by looked on with bewildered expressions. Who would have thought that not long ago an extremely poor and lowly clan would actually have a profound Void martial expert? And this young, profound Void martial expert had completed his counterattack and went to the Gilded Gold clan to propose marriage. The Gilded Gold clan was a well-known large clan in the entire Weapon District. Other than the Liu clan, the Gilded Gold clan's influence was the strongest. The strongest expert in the clan was at the 3rd level of the Profound Void martial stage, and there were 5 or 6 experts at the Profound Void martial stage. However, it was more than enough for a level 1 of the Void interpretation stage to propose marriage to the 3rd young miss of the Gilded Gold tribe. Let's go and take a look. Let's go. Some people who had nothing to do followed behind and walked in the direction of the Gilded Gold tribe. Duan Jinming and the leader of the Fire tribe stood at the front, while Wang Xian and Ao Jian followed in the middle. Along the way, some passers-by saw the Fire Hammer tribe going over to propose marriage in such a grand manner. They looked at them curiously. Father, Mother, Jinming will come over to our house to propose the marriage later. Can you not make things difficult for him? At this moment, in the study room of the Gilded Gold clan, Gilded Gold Yen ran over with a face full of joy and told them about the time when Duan Jinming was going to propose the marriage. She looked at her parents with some anticipation, her eyes full of desire. Good. Now that kid has become a profound void stage powerhouse, he is worthy of our yen. When that kid comes over later, we will definitely not make things difficult for him." The leader of the Gilded Gold tribe looked at his daughter and laughed loudly. He also said happily, "Thank you, father. I will go and make some preparations now." Gilded Gold tribe leader's face turned red. His eyes were as happy as crescent moons. He jumped out excitedly. Good. Although the Liu family did not agree. That kid actually obtained an opportunity and directly became an insightful emptiness realm expert. He is worthy of our yen. A woman in the study said with a smile. The current Firehammer clan is no longer the Firehammer clan of the past. They have a powerful backer. The Gilded Gold clan leader said slowly. I heard that the young man from the Dragon Phoenix dynasty offended the young city lord. Will the Firehammer clan be fine in the future if they join them? Will our words be married to them? The woman suddenly said with some worry. It's not a big deal. Although the Dragon Phoenix dynasty offended the young city, lord of Xiaoyao City. They didn't offend the city, lord of Xiaoyao City. It said that the Dragon Phoenix dynasty has 4 or 5/4 level profound void martial experts. The young city lord can't do anything to them. The Gilded Gold tribe leader shook his head with a smile on his face. Let our clansmen prepare. Since the Firehammer tribe is here to propose marriage, our Gilded Gold tribe can't be stingy. Besides, the Dragon Phoenix Empire might follow us. Let's put on a show and go out to welcome them later. The Gilded Gold tribe leader continued to say with a smile. It's husband. The woman nodded and passed the news to the Gilded Gold tribe clansmen. Duan Jinming is coming to our house to propose marriage later? When the brothers and sisters of the Gilded Gold tribe received this message, they were slightly stunned. Young Master Liu said that if our sister has any news, tell him. Should we tell him? Of course, tell young Master Liu. Third sister may marry out of Xiaoyao City in the future, but we still have to stay in Xiaoyao City. As the two of them spoke, they immediately relayed this matter to young Master Liu. At the peak 10,000 meters behind the weapons district, in front of the waterfall, 20 to 30 young noble men and women were playing. Lu Xiaohua, who was sitting next to Yao Dingfeng, was slightly stunned when he saw the message on the communication stone plate. Immediately after, his eyes flashed with an inexplicable luster. What's wrong, Xiaohua? What's the matter? Yao Dingfeng asked curiously when he saw the corner of his good brother's mouth curling up slightly. I have something to do. I'm leaving first. Lu Xiaohua stood up and said with a smile on his face. What's the matter? The young master of the city is coming soon. Are you leaving now? Yao Dingfeng asked in astonishment. I'm going to propose a marriage. Lu Xiaohua said with a smile on his face. Propose a marriage? Didn't you say a few days ago that you were going to be free and easy for a few years? Why? As Yao Dingfeng said this, he thought of something and stopped. He asked Gilded Gold family. Gilded Gold family. Lu Xiaohua nodded with a smile. The third miss of Gilded Gold family is pretty good. Let's go, I'll go with you. Yao Dingfeng laughed and stood up with a smile. Young Master Liu. Young Master Yao, what are you going to do? At this moment, some young men and women asked curiously. Young Master Yao is going to the Gilded Gold family to propose marriage. I'll go with him. He laughed and the two flew down. The Liu family was under the waterfall. Propose marriage? Some young men and women were slightly stunned and showed a stunned look. Duan Jinming of the Firehammer clan has proposed marriage to the third young miss of the Gilded Gold clan. The members of the Gilded Gold clan are waiting at the entrance. It can be said that they have obviously agreed to this marriage. I heard that the Firehammer clan has found a powerful backer, the Dragon Phoenix dynasty. When the marriage proposal team was about to arrive at the Gilded Gold clan's mansion, The nearby residents saw the Firehammer clan walking over and whispered among themselves. At the entrance of the Gilded Gold clan's residence, a group of Gilded Gold clan's people were welcoming them. After meticulously dressing up, Gilded Gold Yen stood at the center of the group, looking at the marriage proposal team with a face full of joy. Duan Jinming saw the Gilded Gold clan's people waiting at the entrance of the residence from afar. His beloved woman was waiting for him. His face was full of excitement. Behind him, the members of the Firehammer clan were also full of pride. Today, a member of their clan came to propose marriage to the Gilded Gold clan. All the honor and confidence were given to them by the king beside them. Lord of the Gilded Gold clan, this kid, Duan Jinming of the Firehammer clan, has a long-standing relationship with the third young miss. Today, he is here to propose marriage to the Gilded Gold clan. I hope Lord of the clan and the third young miss can agree to this kid's proposal. The team approached. Under the guidance of the Firehammer patriarch, Duan Jinming walked over with some restraint. He cupped his hands and said sincerely,